Let's go!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret 64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. We got a lot to talk about today, so I'm not going to be faffing about here, but just know that this is the podcast about video game news and occurrences, first impressions, reviews, and what's coming soon. And we're going to start off today with probably the thing that's going to take up the most time, which is what was announced at that gaming show, Part 1. So the reason that this is Part 1 is because the Summer Games Fest stuff is still going on. So at the time of recording this, the PC showcase is just going on right now, but I decided I don't have time. And then the Ubisoft Forward and the Capcom Presents are also coming around on Monday and Tuesday. Reverse that. The Capcom's on Monday, Ubisoft Forward's on Tuesday. So the Summer Games Fest, this is Summer Games Fest Part 1, and then next week will be Summer Games Fest Part 2, and anything else that pops up in the meantime. But let's start off with the opening day ceremony, I guess you could call it, the opening day reveals. There was a pretty lengthy Jeff Keighley hosted show, and It actually started with a bit of a surprise, which was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. So when this first started off, I was like, is this Assassin's Creed Chronicles coming back? And no, it's Prince of Persia in a 2D perspective, which I know a lot of people were not thrilled with, I guess. I personally thought it looked pretty good. I thought that the graphical style, it's a bit blockish, but I think in general, I think it's going to be a pretty fun game. Looks like there's some pretty cool boss fights in there, some pretty good platforming, stuff like that, So I mean, I'm not angry. I'm actually very intrigued. I actually kind of want this game sooner rather than later, but we got to wait till next year. January 18th is when that's coming out. If you want to check out the trailer, all this stuff is thrown throughout YouTube, so I'm not going to mention that again, but if you want to check out trailers, just go on YouTube and type in Summer Games Fest or the name of the game. You'll get 5 billion results. And that's coming to pretty much all systems, even Amazon Luna. Wow. And then to follow that up, we had the Mortal Kombat 1 gameplay debut trailer. This was a pretty lengthy segment where Ed Boon talked about, some of the new stuff that was happening in the game. So the big thing is having these assist characters. They are a push of a button away, pretty much, and they come in and they smack, they do a few moves. They can even do fatalities for you if you want. And I found it a very interesting new system that they're implementing here, because I was thinking that it was going to be 2-on-2 fighting for this one again, kind of bring that back from Mortal Kombat 9. But it is something a little bit different. Fatal blows are back. If you liked them or not, they are back. Along with a couple of other things as well. They showed off that there's a bunch of assist characters in the game, and some of them actually can both be assists and regular characters. So one of the characters that came out was Stryker, and that was one of the biggest moments in my opinion, because we haven't seen Stryker since Mortal Kombat 9. He's kind of a meme character. You don't really expect to see him, and there he was. He shined his flashlight and stunned someone. Jax is a assist character. I think they said Sub-Zero was both a regular character and an assist character. Of course, Kung Lao's in there. Johnny, I almost said Johnny Knoxville. And then there's just a bunch of really good stuff going on in here. I would definitely recommend watching the gameplay showcase, because there's a lot of stuff that happened. And one of the biggest reveals was Raiden's in the game, but he's young Raiden, and Liu Kang is of course the fire god now, so he's taken the role of Raiden, and I think he'll be a little bit smarter than Raiden going forward. But it's cool to see Raiden in a young non-god form. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty cool thing. And of course, we're gonna go through it's practically a reboot. Ed Boon said, It does take place after the events of the Liu Kang ending for Mortal Kombat 11. But he said that it is practically a reboot. We're going to be reintroduced to characters. They're going to have their backstories retold and stuff like that. And having these assist characters also inflates the roster for at least the story mode. I'm guessing they'll have moves designed for them for like story mode content. I'm guessing. And the other thing that's really nice is they removed the variants for characters. Now every character has their one move set, and that's great. I never liked how they did the variants, especially in Mortal Kombat X. I felt like it was just kind of, I don't know. I just did not like it at all. So I'm glad that they removed that. They've done a bunch of things. I believe there is like a open, maybe it's not open, maybe it's a closed beta test right now. Oh wait, yeah, beta access. Yeah, if you pre-order, you get beta access, so you'll be able to play as like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, I think. The main, the pretty much the characters you want to play as, Katana and stuff like that for the beta. So there's like 4 assist characters and 4 normal characters to play with in the beta right now. I believe the assist characters are Sonya, Kano, Sub-Zero. Maybe I don't know. I know where the main characters is as Kensei or whatever his name is with the sword. But anyway, it looks good. That's all I gotta say about that now. It definitely looks good. I'm definitely excited for this. And we'll see how it is once it gets closer, creeps closer. So after that, I'm going to be saying that a lot. Path of Exile 2 world premiere. This is a free-to-play action role-playing game. It's a top-down perspective. This is going to be coming out the 18th of July. Not much to say about this. It looks like kind of like a Diablo type game, except it's going to be free to play, I guess, which is interesting. So that's going to be available July 28th. Exoprimal is teaming up with Street Fighter for its first collaboration, and the game's not even out yet. They're bringing in Ryu and Guile, and they have machine guns. So if you were expecting this crossover, then you must be Nostradamus, but I did not see this coming. Even though they're both owned by Capcom, so I guess it makes some sort of sense in whatever world. But essentially, this is going to be coming in fall. The game is launching on the 14th of July with some pre-order bonuses, of course. And then later on, the Season Pass will come out, and there will also be the Ryu and Guile, I guess as a DLC pack, because I don't see it in the premium battle pass, but whatever. After that, Nicolas Cage came on stage and talked about how he was in the new Dead by Daylight DLC pack, I guess. He is a survivor. They confirmed he's a survivor. He recorded all his own lines and did some of his own stunts. Not really. They're the same animations, but whatever. But yeah, it looks like he's finally in the video game universe. I was really hoping Nicolas Cage would get like his own game, but maybe this will open the door. Maybe this will open the door for that. So yeah, Nicolas Cage will be coming on July 25th to Dead by Daylight. He plays himself practically, an actor who somehow gets transported to the fog. You can also download it on the test build of the game on July 5th. Ooh. A big trailer for the next season of The Witcher came around. Now, I was under the impression that Henry Cavill had left The Witcher, but I guess he rejoined after DC changed over to the new Gunn universe. So I guess he's back in The Witcher. You don't have to worry about his brother being in there. The only thing that caught my eye during this whole trailer montage was the egregious amount of CGI blood that was everywhere. I have not seen The Witcher since season 1, so I'm not up to date on the story, but this is pretty cool for people who are interested in this. And they also made sure to know, like, hey, it's based on the book, so if you're going in here thinking you're going to get the Geralt of, whatever from The Witcher 3, that's probably not going to happen. But there's some cool creature designs in there. I think they need to touch up some of the CG, obviously, but other than that, looks good. So if you want to check that out, that'll be coming around on On the 29th of June, Witcher Volume 3. Ooh, fancy. Witchfire immediately followed the trailer for The Witcher, which is going to go into early access on the 20th of September. This is what? This is like a medieval fantasy game where you use guns and stuff to shoot monsters and hunt witches, essentially. I think this game has been in development for quite some time, and I think they revealed it back at the last Summer Games Fest, if I'm not mistaken. It looks fine. I'm not like super into it, but you know, it looks pretty good. So there you go. Crossfire Sierra Squad is coming in summer of 2023 to PSVR 2. The trailer was like a mix, I believe, of like live action and... Oh no, that was a different trailer. I'm getting these trailers confused. So essentially, it's a squad-based tactical shooter in VR. You can use a bunch of different weapons. You can team up with your friends and stuff like that to take out the bad guys in the bad places. And yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about more PSVR 2 content, you know. And if you can play it with your friends, there you go, even better. And speaking of shooting games, Remnant 2 had a nice trailer. It was kind of like a story / co-op trailer where it just kind of showed off all the people fighting in their different styles, you know. As we already know, there's the person with the dog, and there's the guy who's like a gunslinger from the Old West, and there's the heavy weapons guy, and all of them have like different swords and armor types that they use and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they all have different special abilities, etc., etc. They also showed off the different worlds you're going to travel to. Obviously, this is like a multi-dimensional kind of game, so you're going to be able to some sort of like sci-fi world. You're running across a train, you know. There's robots, there's zombies, there's bugs, you know, all the works, pretty much the works. I'm very excited for this game. It is still coming on the 25th of July across the platforms. And if you pre-order, you get early access to the Gunslinger archetype, which is, I guess that's coming in a later update. I did not know that. But there you go. Or maybe you unlock the Gunslinger as you play through the game and you get it early. I don't know. Big announcements for Sonic fans. New Sonic game coming around called Sonic Superstars. This is a very interesting take on Sonic, and by that I mean it's pretty much the same thing that you kind of know and love, except they have a bit of a gimmick to it. So essentially you switch between, you know, pixel artwork and the newer artwork. You can play as the whole cast of characters from Knuckles, Tails, Sonic, Amy. The new look in the game, it looks pretty nice. And then also going between the pixel world and the real world was pretty cool. And then there's also these sections where you turn to like, I don't know, you turn it like jellyfish. I guess there's new abilities and stuff like that. So you can go through water and you can do all sorts of crazy things with your friends. It's cooperative play. New thrills, classic feels is what it's called. Just kidding. It's called Sonic Superstars. That was the slogan. So yeah, kind of interesting. You know, it looks pretty good. There was a leak that said that the game was going to be $60, and I just gotta say, like, no. Do not make this game $60. A 2D Sonic platformer, $60? You're joking. It was yeah, you're joking. But that might not be true. Might not even be true. If it is true though, shame on you. Honkai Star Rail. I guess this is coming to PlayStation 5 in quarter 4 of the year, I suppose. This is an anime game where you fight robots and you team up with fellow people. I was thinking that it was Astral Chain coming to the PS5, which, I mean, maybe would have got me a little bit more hyped, I suppose. This wasn't really it for me, but yeah, it seems like it's going to be like a turn-based anime RPG, you know, JRPG. So if you want to check that out, there you go. Right after that, though, something that did interest me, Lies of P is getting a demo, and it's available right now. I watched Odom K play it, friend of the channel, friend of the show, and it looked pretty good. He said that the controls were a little stiff, so they just gotta maybe work on that a little bit before launch, but he said everything else is great, and I watched almost the entire gameplay, so I kind of spoiled it for myself. But the trailer was also really good. They showed us some bosses, like there's this Frankenstein monster that came out of the mist. There was a guy with a donkey head, or a donkey mask, I suppose. There was some bizarre, crazy upside down head thing. It's like this steampunk kind of world, and you play as Pinocchio, trying to find Geppetto, and to essentially save the world, I guess, from evil, as you do. But the big news was that there's a demo available right now, and the official release date is September 19th this year. If you want to check that out, you can pre-order it now, or you can play it on Xbox Game Pass. That is up to you. Some of the perks in the pre-order, or I'm sorry, the digital deluxe version of the game, is you get some new outfits. So there's like a classic Pinocchio type costume, mischievous puppet parade hat, the great Venguini's signature coat, mask worn by those preparing for the festival. Yeah, just a bunch of like cosmetic stuff. And you also get 72-hour early access to the game with the digital deluxe edition. So there you go. Not too shabby. Big news for Dragon Ball fans. A game called Sandland is coming out by the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama. So this is like it's like Dune. It kind of looks like Arrakis, where there's just a bunch of desert, a bunch of plains, and then there's anime characters driving tanks, and they look kind of like the Dragon Ball aesthetic, essentially. But you play as like this demon guy who is going on an adventure in a tank, and you just gotta fight people. I mean, what more can you say? You're probably gonna get more out of this by watching the trailer, but it's essentially Dragon Ball in a tank. Your characters have the Kamehamehas and stuff like that. So if you want to check out Sandland, check out that trailer. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball, definitely do that. Annapurna, they didn't really show off anything new per se. But they did reveal that there is going to be a showcase showing off something new very soon on June 29th. So that was the big reveal for them. They showed a bunch of games that were old, or older, I should say, including like Neon White and Stray and stuff like that. But there were hints of some new stuff kind of splashed in there. So if you want to check out that's on June 29th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Savings Time. A world premiere, Throne and Liberty. This is actually coming from Amazon Games, believe it or not. And it is like a medieval fantasy game where you where you prove your strength. It's a very cinematic trailer, but yeah, it's like a third-person adventure game. You can transform into animals and fight giant dudes, and I believe this is going to be free to play. There's a tech test coming out, and I believe it is free to play. So if you want to check that out, there you go. Warhaven. This is coming from Nexon. It's coming in autumn of 2023. This is another medieval game where you it kind of reminds me of like a Warriors game, except it's medieval characters and you're fighting tons of medieval characters. So maybe it's more like a Warriors For Honor kind of game. You have a bunch of different classes to use, and you kind of just destroy minions while you try and push the objective, I guess. I guess you could say, kind of like that League of Legends For Honor Warriors type gameplay. Looks kind of fun. Looks kind of interesting. Wouldn't mind checking that out. This is coming in 2023 autumn, and it's going to be a part of the Steam Next Fest between the 19th and 26th of June. Party Animals got a small trailer. We've seen this game 5 million times, and it still hasn't come out yet. But they are planning to officially release it on 9/20/2023, and I believe this game is coming to Xbox Game Pass. So finally, we may finally see this game get released. They had a montage of a bunch of different streamers like Jacksepticeye and that stuff playing it. So maybe it's fun. Maybe it's fun. Crash Team Rumble had a trailer. It's coming out June 20th. We already know all this information. They didn't really show off anything new per se in the trailer. But I mean, I guess they did show off that like the kangaroo is in there. Dr. Engine is in there. Um, but yeah, essentially nothing really too new happening here. It's still a hero brawler collectathon type thing. Man, it's coming June 20th, so not too far away. Alan Wake 2 had some gameplay revealed, and this was probably one of the highlights of the show. They had the director of the game come out on stage, and he introduced the gameplay, and the gameplay looks stellar. I mean, it's like a mix between Resident Evil 2 and the Alan Wake that you know and love. Essentially, you shine your flashlight at an enemy to make them come to your world, your reality, and then you blast them to smithereens with your pistol. But the atmosphere and ambiance in the game looks really good. I mean, the game just pops so hardcore. So I'm very excited to see more of this. It's still coming October 17th. And the gameplay footage was really good. It really was. It was really good. It was a little it was a little bit of a short presentation, not much happening, but they did show that like, yeah, you're a detective, you're going to go to these scenes, you're going to investigate and put together clues and stuff like that. So, I like that aspect and I'm excited to see more and play the game. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 announced that it was going to be having a co-op in it, of course. They called this a world premiere, but I mean, we already knew about the game, so it's not really a world premiere. But they did show some gameplay, thousands and thousands of aliens. You're not fighting orcs in this one; you're fighting aliens, and they were just flowing as you were shooting them. Pretty cool looking so far. And yes, it is a co-op adventure, so you can play with up to 3 people in your squad. The collector's edition is pretty badass. There's a space marine with his chainsaw sword out, and he's ripping an alien in half. There's a steel book and I believe the soundtrack, or maybe a comic book as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, looks to be coming along pretty well. Here was a surprise. Yes, Your Grace Snowfall. This is the second game in the Yes, Your Grace series. The first one came out a couple years ago. I reviewed it on the YouTube channel. It was one of the only reviews that I've done on there. And I liked that first game. I thought it was pretty good. Choice-based, choice-driven game, and this one looks like they're building on top of that while also having some deeper story narratives happening as well. So I will be checking this out when it comes out. They did not give a confirmed release date, but they did say that it is coming in 2024. Okay, John Carpenter is teaming up with Saber Interactive and Focus Interactive to bring you a Left 4 Dead style game where you shoot hordes and hordes and hordes and hordes and hordes of zombies, pretty much, and mutated zombies. It's a first-person action game with a bunch of different characters who probably use different weapons and stuff. It looks like it's kind of open world because you're driving around like these Humvees and these trucks and stuff like that, shooting out of them. So I'm guessing it's going to be kind of like a cooperative open world kind of game. So Toxic Commando is the name of it, and it's coming in 2024. It looks pretty good. Baldur's Gate 3 got another trailer here, and I believe one of the voice actors for the characters did like an interview on stage. Or maybe this was the reveal that Jason Isaacs was voicing a character. This game will be released on the 31st of August. I'm not like a Baldur's Gate guy, so, I'm not going to comment on this, but, the trailer was fine. What can I say? Spider-Man 2. Oh, here we go. There was an interview with Brian Intihar, who I believe is the creative lead or director on the game, and he went over some basic stuff about like how Venom works and how swapping between Spider-Man works. And then he didn't bring like new gameplay or anything like that to the show, but he did reveal the release date for the game, which is going to be October 20th, 2023. So October is a very stacked month this year in gaming wise. Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, and input any other game that you're excited for in there. It's a very, very stacked month. Boom, bada, bing. And directly after the Spider-Man news, we got Pokemon with guns. It's not really Pokemon, but it's close enough. You train these Pokemon-like creatures, and yeah, they have guns and machine guns and Gatling guns and et cetera, rifles, missile launchers. When you level them up and evolve them, and you take out like these big boss enemies, kind of like in the same style as Monster Hunter, you know. So that was a pretty bizarre twist here. But yeah, Pal World is what it's called, and that's going to be in early access on January 24th. I'm sorry, January 2024, not January 24th. January 2024. There was a game called Land of the Morning Light Journey to the Realm of Legends that was shown off. It's a very bizarre name, but the very beautiful looking game. It looks kind of like, I mean, it kind of reminds me of like Neo or yeah, Neo in a few ways. But you play as like a spellcaster essentially, and you are just going up against these big boss-like dudes. I'm not sure if there's anything else there. This is an expansion for Black Desert Online, and that's coming June 14th. Here's an interesting one. Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria was announced. You play as the dwarves who are heading back home to Moria to take it back over, reclaim it from the goblins and possibly the Balrog if it's revived. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be like a crafting survival game where you can team up with friends and go through and build a mine and etc. You can build like towers and beds and like a whole ecosystem underground. I'm wondering if it's like a wave defender game too, because there's like trolls and goblins that come around. And it looks like the Watcher is maybe like a boss fight or something like that. And there's also spiders in there and stuff like that as well. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like while you go through the mines, you're doing action stuff, or maybe it's going to be like a wave defender thing, defending your home as you upgrade it. I don't know, but it is coming in fall of 2023, and I can already tell you it's probably going to be better than Lord of the Rings Gollum. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. This is a new Android and Apple phone game coming out. I believe you just kind of go through like this chibi style world with also really, for some reason, in-depth cutscenes and battle animations. But you essentially walk. It's just I don't know I don't know what you want me to say about this. It's a turn-based JRPG, and it's for phones. And there will be a closed beta test on Android between the 8th and 28th of June, which is actually right now. So if you want to sign up for that, you can on the Final Fantasy website. Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden. I'm really interested in this game. It's a very cool looking game. This is the game where your wife is like dead and a ghost, and you're like a ghost hunter, and you help ghosts and demons and stuff pass beyond to the afterlife. And the ones who don't want to go, you slay with your insane ghostly skills. And you can kind of go between each world, so you can be in the real world, you can be in the ghost world with as the wife. And I think this game looks incredible. I think it really does. I think it's going to be a really cool experience. If you want to check this out, it's going to be coming sometime in 2023, the end of 2023. And that's actually a direct quote from it is going to be the end of 2023. So whether will it be December 30th? I guess we'll have to wait and see. There's a new Like a Dragon game, or Yakuza game, but they're rebranding, called Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. It actually leaked before the show, but they revealed the trailer, of course. This is coming out on the 9th of November. Looks like a full new game in the Like a Dragon series, unless this is a remaster that I don't know about. I'm not big into the Yakuza series. But yeah, it looks okay. Doesn't look bad, It looks like a Yakuza game, as you know and love. If you pre-order the game, you get the Legendary Fighter Pack, and it's coming across the board, so you can get it anywhere. After that, a pretty cool-looking game called Under the Waves was shown off. We don't really get too many games that are like underwater. There's like Soma and name a couple of other indie games here and there, Subnautica. So it's interesting to see a new underwater kind of game, and this one looks like it's gonna be pretty cool. You play as like this guy who is in like a submarine. You know, he kind of lives underwater. It looks like repairing things and getting stuff done. And there's a mystery to solve underneath there. It looks like the visuals are going to be great. And you can go into like shipwrecks and stuff like that, meet new creatures, and of course, like I said, there's like a bigger thing going on, of course. So that's going to be coming the 29th of August. Looks pretty good. So there you go. Call of Duty Season 4 world premiere. They showed off what's coming in Season 4. I mean, who really cares? I believe that they dropped the 2.0 from Modern Warfare Modern Warfare Warzone. So the 2.0 is officially gone, and this is the new Warzone, the old Warzone. Who cares about the old Warzone? So they showed off some new skins that you can get. I believe the Tim the Tat Man, he like wants his skin removed from the game. I'm not going to get into that, but whatever, you know. But yeah, that's, you know, it looks fine. I mean, if you're a fan of Warzone, probably not going to be. It's probably going to be good. I don't know. There was also like a graffiti of the boys on one of the sides of the building, so I'm wondering if maybe there's some The Boys content coming in this season. I just noticed that at the end of the trailer. This is going to come June 14th, so we'll see. We'll see. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, Fae Farm is a what? Is a cozy farming simulator where you fish and stuff like that. Kind of reminds me of like Animal Crossing, except you're battling to get resources and stuff like that. You battle against mythical creatures. So there you go. They also showed off the Porsche-inspired Xbox consoles. There's several Xbox consoles designed like Porsche designs, and they're in limited quantities. So there's 75 for the 75 years. Please clap. They look fine. What do you want me to say? There's new stuff coming to Marvel Snap, the phone game. There's a new game mode called Conquest. And yeah, I don't really know, you know, but Pro ZD, Sung Won Cho, actually did a video for it, so that was pretty fun. That was pretty fun to see. But yeah, I mean, I'm like, what did they really show off here? They didn't really show off the new mode or anything like that. They just kind of had a funny video, so I don't know. Next up, King Arthur, Legends Rise. The cinematics look pretty good, but what is this game? I'll let you take a guess. It's a PC and mobile game. I bet you didn't guess that. Pre-registration for the beta is available right now. I'm not sure exactly what this game is going to be. It's probably going to be like one of those kind of like top-down RTS kind of, not really, maybe not RTS, but like hero fighter kind of games. So there you go. Directly after that, another game I'm not really too jazzed about is Wayfinder. It's going to be free to play, and it's coming to across all systems. It's just a new trailer. I mean, there wasn't really anything that I cared about in this. You can become a finder. There you go. Stellaris Nexus. This is a new Paradox interactive game where you fly spaceships. It's a turn-based. Oh, never mind. You don't fly spaceships. It's almost like Civilization, except across the universe or across the solar system. It looks actually pretty cool. I wish they had shown more of this. This is a game that I actually wanted to see, but they didn't show too much. So essentially, you conquer the galaxy. You can battle against your friends or AI, and if I'm looking at this trailer correctly, it kind of looks like it might be like a base building kind of Civilization style, except more so PvP oriented. Space Trash Scavenger is also coming from Paradox Interactive. Essentially, you play as this little dude on a platform, and you're grabbing junk from space to craft stuff and build up a base. Looks pretty cozy. If you like base building, this is probably going to be something for you. They did not give a release date for that, but you can wishlist it now. Star Trek Infinite. This was a pretty nice CG trailer for the game. but I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be some sort of phone game based on how the um, the splash screen looks. There will be a full reveal on Picard Day on June 16th, so we'll see what it actually is. If it's an actual game that's not just a phone game, I will be kind of surprised and also happy about that. But from what I can tell, it had a nice CGI trailer, and it looks like it's going to be some sort of card battler, I'm guessing. That's just a guess, though. That's just a theory. Directly after that, they showed a sneak peek at the Twisted Metal TV show, Sweet Tooth being voiced by the guy who voices everyone, Will Arnett. But I thought that the trailer was actually kind of fun. You know, there were some people claiming that it was hashtag cringe, which that in itself is cringe. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. It's kind of weird that Sweet Tooth is being voiced by Will Arnett and not just the guy who's behind the mask. But you know, you got to get the big names on board. Looks fine. That's going to be premiering on the 27th of July on Peacock. Lisfanga, the Time Shift Warrior. This reminds me of Ratchet and Clank, A Crack in Time, where essentially you play as one character and you can split into multiple paths, doing time stuff. So you can beat up enemies with one character while your other character does something else, and then you can reverse time again and have those two characters doing their thing and do something else. It's going to be like a puzzle hack and slash kind of game. I think it looks pretty cool. Definitely going to check this out when it comes out sometime in 2023. Immortals of Avium had a big gameplay showcase. This is coming on the 20th of July. It's essentially a first-person magic shooter, and this is an original IP from EA and Ascendant Studios. I mean, it looks kind of fun, I guess. I'm not sure what to think. It might be the better version of Forspoken, but I don't know. I believe the voice actor for the character came on stage and talked about it for a little bit. It's a little bit fuzzy in my brain because I really wasn't paying attention at that point because I originally didn't really care about this game, but seeing some gameplay, seeing it in action and how the world looks, doesn't look too bad. If you're into, first person shooters, you might want to check this out. It's kind of a new twist on things with with the magic gauntlet having 3 styles of magic. But it also is a lot of, I call it visual garbage. It's a lot of visual garbage on the screen, a lot of lighting effects, a lot of weird stuff going on that, flares and stuff like that. So, but that's coming July 20th of this year. Fortnite, they had a trailer for Chapter 4, Season 3 called Wilds. Essentially, you can ride on raptors in this update, and also Optimus Prime is officially coming to the game. You can team up with Optimus Prime or use him as a skin yourself. There you go. Doesn't look like there's much else happening, so just rideable dinosaurs and, a bunch of new skins as usual. And then finally, at the end of it all, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was shown off. This is the next game in, after the Final Fantasy VII remake. So the next one's called Rebirth. Essentially, after the end of the first game, I guess you could say, all the characters kind of have to come back together years later and return to the fight. And it looks like it's maybe a little bit more open world, I guess I would say. I mean, that's how it's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from it. People also claim that this is going to be the more interesting game because the first game is just like the first couple of hours from the original game or whatever. I'm not sure exactly the numbers, but essentially Rebirth is going to be like the middle section where all the interesting stuff happens, I guess. So if you didn't like the first game, maybe this one will be better, but it still uses that same combat style, and I didn't really enjoy that a lot, too much. The girl from Intergrade is going to be in this, and it looks like you can also team up with Red, actually have him as a fighter with you. Yeah, if you want to check out that trailer and you're a Final Fantasy fan, boom, bada bing, head over there. I don't think there was anything Final Fantasy 16 related this entire weekend, which is kind of crazy. But I guess they kind of had to let this sit, So, in about 40 minutes, that was the entirety of the Summer Games Fest opening day. Pretty good showcase. I gave it a B. There was some stuff in here I really didn't care about, but other, but most of the reveals were good. I mean, the Mortal Kombat section was really fun. Prince of Persia was cool. Nicolas Cage was fun to have him on stage. Remnant, Sonic, etc., etc. So yeah, I think a high B is where I'm sitting on this, and that leads us into the future game show. Was that next? No, the wait, no, yeah, future game show was next. Yeah. Okay, so future game show showed off a bunch of games coming soon or in the future. The first game they showed off was called High Water. They had a very lovely performance on stage for this game. It looks like you team up with a couple of friends, well, not friends, but a couple people, and kind of do like a turn-based style gameplay, I guess you could say. It's kind of like an open world turn-based game, I think. I mean, they didn't really show off too much of it. It was mostly just the singing and the visuals, and the visuals do look pretty good. Like this, the world is like flooded. It's kind of like Water World, I guess you could say. There's limited amounts of land available. But yeah, I guess the main draw was the big vote, the music performance at the beginning, and that is coming sometime summer of 2023. Next up, Resistor. This is like a CarPG, they called it. Essentially, you upgrade and drive your car around and smash into other players, and not players, but other other racers, and destroy their vehicles and try and win races, I believe. Kind of reminds me of the Cars video game, if you remember that. This is coming soon. That's all it says. It's coming soon. After that, Instinction. This is like a dinosaur game. The funny thing is, when I was watching the stream, I was watching an IGN stream because I didn't catch this premiered, and I couldn't find the premiere even though it's on games, the Game Awards YouTube channel. But essentially, what happened is the IGN stream crashed, so it went from this Instinction game to the next game that I'm going to talk about, which was a very jarring shift without there being anything in between. But Instinction Dare to Play. It looks like this is going to be some sort of like survival dinosaur game. Maybe in the same vein of the King Kong video game, but probably not. But the visuals are pretty good from what they showed off, but I don't know what the game is going to be like. I mean, they did have a gun, and they had some sort of weird orb. So maybe it'll be more like King Kong than I think. And directly after that was Star Trucker, which is a management. It's kind of like Truck Simulator, except in space. You're using like a space-faring truck, which is pretty cool. Let's be honest. You drive the interstellar highways, and you dodge debris, and you repair your truck if it breaks down, and et cetera, et cetera. You go to warp speed and stuff like that. Looks pretty cool. It's coming in. This is coming in 2024. I'm definitely going to keep my eye open for this because it looks kind of interesting. It looks kind of fun, not going to lie. Much different than your regular truck simulator. Lords of the Fallen had a nice presentation during this showcase as well. And yeah, if you're not sold on the game, or if you don't like Souls-likes, I guess, you're missing out. This looks like it's going to be one of the better games of the year so far. I mean, just all the different visual stuff going on. The main gimmick of the game is that you have this lantern that transports you, or lets you see into like the afterlife, essentially, is what I'm going to call it. And if you die in the game, you actually respawn in the other world, which is kind of crazy. And in order to get back, you have to do something. I don't remember what you have to do. And then also, you can actually choose to go into the other world just by essentially offing yourself. The boss fights are looking pretty cool that they're designing. There's one guy that has like a arm coming out of his mouth or something, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, the game looks great. It's coming the 13th of October. Very interested and excited for this one. And it takes place thousands of years after the original game. So the original game, Lords of the Fallen, or The Lords of the Fallen, doesn't even matter. Thank goodness. It's essentially a reboot of the IP, they said. So that's actually really good too. All right. Headbangers Rhythm Royale. This is going to be like a party game, I think. or something like that, a battle royale possibly, where you play as like these goofy looking pigeons. If you've seen the YouTube video called Egg Dog, it kind of reminds me of that, except they're pigeons. But it looks like you play a bunch of like rhythm-based party games, and you try and become the number one partier, essentially. And this is coming in 2023 to pretty much all platforms. Kind of a goofy game. Didn't show off any gameplay, so I'm not sure what to expect, but whatever. The Last Faith was shown off after that. This is like a pixel art kind of Bloodborne-ish kind of game. A lot of people are comparing it to Bloodborne, except 2D and pixel art, and I can see the comparison. But with Blasphemous coming out this year, or already out. No, Blasphemous 1 is already out. Blasphemous 2 coming this year. This might go under. This might be pushed under the rug, in my opinion. But visually looks stunning. The music sounds great. The monster design looks pretty good. And this is going to be coming in October, the month of games, I guess you could say. After that, Steel Seed is a stealth action platformer set in a world destroyed by a climate catastrophe. And you can play this game either as a stealthy android or as a kick-ass android. I thought the game looked pretty good. The futuristic kind of thing was interesting. And also you have this floating robot drone to help you do platforming and stealth stuff. And he also assists you in combat as well. It looks pretty good. Definitely has like an indie flair to it. It's not like a AAA kind of release, but I think it looks pretty good. If you want to check out that gameplay, Steel Seed, and this is coming eventually. They did not have a release window, but it's coming eventually. Distant Bloom is a game about discovery set in a strange world. You'll be exploring, working the land, and shaping the world around you. It's pretty much a farming simulator. You plant seeds, you grow weird plants, you restore the world around you by planting the seeds. So it's kind of like Slime Rancher in a way, I guess. And this is coming to Steam, but they did not give a release date for that either. There is a demo right now available if you want to try that out. Go Fight Fantastic is an action-packed top-down hack-and-slash game. And it looks okay. It looks fine. I think it's a co-op game, but you can play solo if you want to. So it's a top-down hack and slash where if you play solo, you can switch between characters on with a click of the button. So you don't have to worry about getting locked out of stuff. So Go Fight whatever. This is coming in 2023, and there is a demo on Steam as well. Here's a game that caught my eye called On Guard. I just played through that Pirates of the Caribbean game. And it kind of reminds me of that in a way, except much more visually striking, and it looks like the combo system is much more fleshed out. But essentially you play as a female protagonist who kind of looks like a musketeer almost, and you can interact with the environment, kick barrels and people into barrels and stuff like that, cut down chandeliers, etc., while also having like a nice combo system for taking out the tyranny of the world. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm very interested in this. There's a demo available now on Steam, but they did not give a release date. I think it's coming soon though. Alaskan Road Truckers. When they gave the presentation for this one, they actually got the name wrong. They called it Alaskan Truck Simulator, but it is called Alaskan Road Truckers. Essentially, you're in Alaska and you're going through different environments and you're trucking. And the main difference between this game and something like a truck simulator is you actually get out of your truck and you do stuff like getting food, going to the bathroom, building your business and taking on stuff as the business owner, repairing your truck, latching on the trailer to your truck, upgrading your stuff. So this is coming in fall 2023. Might be a little bit more in depth than truck simulator fans are used to. Or it could be more annoying for y'all to get out of your truck and do things. I don't know. It's not up to me to tell. An interesting game called The Book Walker, Thief of Tales is coming out. They didn't show any gameplay for it, but the concept is pretty interesting. You essentially play as a struggling writer who has writer's block, and you jump into book worlds, and you try and steal their ideas, I guess. or you try and find like artifacts or something like that to help with your writer's block. This is coming on the 22nd of June. The visual style, I mean, we didn't see any gameplay, so I can't really be 100% sure like what this game is going to be. But I like the trailer, the CGI trailer, so that at least got me a little bit interested. Deceit 2 is coming into beta mode. The beta actually can be played right now on deceit.gg. Deceit is a game of fooling your friends and trying to kill people off, essentially, and solving the mystery if you're not a killer. Pretty interesting game. I'd never played the first one, but the beta is available now to try out. Life by You. This is like The Sims, except even more in depth and kind of crazy. Essentially, you make characters, you build around, and you follow their lives and do stuff in their lives. It kind of sounds a little bit creepy, in all honesty, and it's because it kind of is. Essentially, if you like, you could play as like the barista, and she has like different tasks to do at her work, and then you can go home and see what she does at home. This game is going to be launching in early access on September 12th of this year. So if you want to check it out, you can. To me, it's kind of a creepy game. I'm not going to lie. Way more creepier than Sims. A game coming to PSVR 2. There was a bunch of VR games kind of shown off in a row. So the first one was called Sea Smash, which is essentially a game like from the Genesis that's been reimagined. It's kind of like it almost reminds me of like the little games that they would play on the on Tron or something like that. You can play yourself or challenge others while enjoying a pumping soundtrack. This game is coming out on the 23rd of June. There's games like Racquetball in there, like futuristic Racquetball. I'm not sure what the original game was. I guess it's just called Sea Smash. So if you're familiar with that game, then you kind of know what you're in for. Madison is getting a VR mode. This game was pretty scary. I played it last year, never completed it. Not because it was too scary, but because I forgot about it, honestly. But it was actually a pretty good horror game. Kind of a complicated puzzle system, but you use like this viewfinder or whatever or old-fashioned camera to take pictures of stuff. So in VR, might be even creepier. But yeah, that VR mode is coming to PSVR 2 sometime this year. There's no official release date. Also coming to PSVR 2, VR Skater. I think maybe I didn't talk about this, but essentially this is like a skateboarding game. I'm not sure how the tricks are performed. I don't think they did a good job of showing off how that works, but the game looks pretty slick, looks pretty cool. I don't mind it. The game is going to be coming later this year. Make sure you check out that trailer if you're a fan of skateboarding games and you want to try out something new. Also, Firewall Ultra is coming to PSVR 2. This is a first-person shooter that casts you as a elite contractor, which I guess is like a spy. I guess you could say. They essentially you hack stuff and you defend, kind of like Payday almost. This is a PvP or PvE, so you can play against other players or against AI. So yeah, not too bad. Looks kind of cool. And then the last VR game is actually coming to the Meta. It's called The Grand Getaway. Wallace and Gromit are coming to VR. Wallace and Gromit in the Grand Getaway. It's kind of has a weird art style. It's not exactly like claymation, it kind of threw me off when Wallace walks out and he just didn't look that great. But they didn't really show off what this game is going to be. It's probably going to be like one of those old school Telltale games, honestly. But this is apparently it's going to be a VR game for the Meta Quest. No release date yet, though, for that. All right, there's a new Deponia game coming out called Surviving Deponia. Essentially, the Sky Kingdom falls down, you got to sift through the wreckage and survive on the planet. This is coming from Dedalek, who has a bad track record with Lord of the Rings game, but has a pretty good track record with Deponia. So, if you want to check this game out, this is coming to early access in 2023. Homeseek is a game about trying to find water. It's like a RTS kind of game. Building, you build up your farm, your city, and you try and clean polluted water, and you can use up your water if you use too much, and you got to go out and find other communities to trade with and stuff like that. Apparently, there's some sort of PvP mode in there as well. So if you want to check that out, this is going to be coming in 2023. Leica, Aged Through Blood. This is a very interesting game. Essentially, it's a motorcycle, 2D motorcycle shooting game where you use the motorcycle to block shots from enemies while also you shoot from your gun, of course. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like the visual style. Looks like it's going to be a pretty cool action game. Kind of reminds me of that Roller Drome game, except it's 2D and you're on a motorcycle. But it kind of reminds me of that because you used to do flips and stuff in that game too. Looks like you can also unlock a shotgun eventually and stuff like that. This is going to be coming on June 19th, but the demo is available right now. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The demo is going to be available on June 19th, but the game is slated to come out sometime in 2023. Space Gears. This is a strategy game set on a faraway planet. Essentially, you build mechs. It kind of reminds me of Command & Conquer, like 3, Triberium War, or whatever it's called, where you build up your army of mechs and stuff like that, and you engage the enemy. So if you like RTS games and you like sci-fi, this is going to be a free-to-play game. And it's coming soon. Layers of Fear had a pretty nice trailer. It showed off what the story is going to be about. Essentially, you play as someone who lost their son, I'm pretty sure, or their brother. I wasn't sure about that, but essentially, you play as a writer in this game, and instead of being instead of a painter, you're a writer. So, a bunch of weird, crazy stuff happens with your typewriter as you try and create your magnum opus, I suppose. But looks pretty cool, visually stunning with the in-game footage. If you want to check this trailer out, I definitely would recommend that. Layers of Fear, which is coming June 15th. Enchanted Portals. This is the Kickstarter game that copied off of Cuphead that went through a bit of a controversy. They got a new trailer, and it's going to be coming out later this year. Essentially, you play as one of 2 wizards who shoot magic from their wands. And you go and you do run and gun segments and also boss battles as well. So it's pretty much Cuphead with magic, I think the visual style, obviously it's not hand drawn like Cuphead, but I think the visual style looks pretty good. It's like that old Mickey Mouse kind of style. It's probably going to be worth checking out if you like Cuphead. It's definitely inspired by Cuphead, if not copying directly from it, but that's neither here nor there. Shattered Heaven is a deck-building RPG set in a fantasy world. And engage in turn-based card battles as you enjoy a deep story. And this is actually available right now on PC. Shattered Heaven, right now, Shadow Drop, the same day. Moving Out 2 got a new trailer. This is coming sometime this year, I'm pretty sure. You can wishlist it now. It's essentially Moving Out. What are you going to do? New characters, maybe some new gameplay modes, I'm guessing. They didn't really show anything off other than here's some new character designs. Here's a nice cartoon aesthetic for the trailer. So we didn't really get much out of it. But Moving Out 2 has been announced. And then there was a bunch of stuff inside like a montage. I'm not going to go over all the games. Actually, I'm probably not going to go over any of them. Punch Club 2 looked okay. Death Ground was kind of interesting. Venture into the Vile was kind of interesting. They actually Unrecord, which is a game I talked about a while ago, had a little segment in here which actually was kind of interesting. But other than that, not much else in there. And then they moved on to a game called Warhaven, which is another fantasy medieval game. Brawler, I guess it's going to be. It's a 16v16 game. It's like a mix between fantasy and, I don't know, steampunk or industrial revolution, I guess, because there was some like weird engine stuff going on. Kind of reminds me of that game I talked about not too long ago that was like a Warriors game, except this does remind me more of For Honor. So there you go. But this is coming in fall of 2023. Warhaven. SteamWorld Build had a little showcase as well. I mean, there wasn't anything new per se shown off in this trailer, so there's not much new for me to say in general, but it looks good, and that's coming in 2023 as well. Daymare 1994, Sandcastle, the follow-up to Daymare 1993. Essentially, this is highly inspired by the old Resident Evil games of ye old yesteryear. And you play as a new character going through like this like mutant infested world instead of zombie infested this time around. And this is coming on August 30th if you want to check that out. New Cycle is another world builder, essentially, where you go and farm and build your world up from the ashes after a solar flare destroys the world. And actually, solar flares are a constant threat, so you got to be prepared for when those happen. It kind of has like that diesel punk style to it. So if you like that aesthetic and you like these kind of world building games, check that out. It's going to be out sometime in 2023 on PC. Here was a fun one. Ruffy and the Riverside. This is a 3D platformer where the characters they're kind of all like paper aesthetic, kind of Paper Mario aesthetic. And you play as Ruffy, who can actually take items and transform them into other items. Or so you can take like a hay barrel and swap it with wood. Instead of being hay, it's made out of wood. Or a river that's made out of water can be swapped to be made out of leaves so you can climb it, or ice can turn into fire, and vice versa. So I think it's a very interesting concept, and it looks like a pretty fun game. I don't know if it's going to be like an open world adventure or whatever, but it seems like this is going to be a pretty fun 3D platformer, and it's coming to PC and Switch sometime. They didn't give a confirmed release date, but it is coming to PC and Switch and probably other consoles, they said. Fretless is a pixel adventure about exploring a strange world and using your guitar to rock out. Essentially, it's a rhythm-based battling game, I think, in this open world kind of world. This is coming in 2024. Not much else to say. I think the creature designs are pretty cool, and I'm not sure how you play though. It's kind of there's a bunch of different styles in there, so definitely would want to wait to see more about this. But yeah, it's coming in 2024. Paleo Pines is a dinosaur farming simulator. You befriend dinosaurs and you farm with them. So you use the Triceratops to dig gardens, and you ride other dinosaurs. This is going to be available sometime in September. There's a demo out. It's a limited time demo, which is going to be available between June 19th and June 26th. Station to Station is this was featured at the Wholesome Games Showcase, which I guess that did happen before this one. Oops, my bad. But essentially, this is a game where you build railways and you ship cargo, and the more railways you build, the more life comes to the area. Kind of seems like the opposite should happen, but yeah, what are you gonna do? So this will be available. It's coming soon to Steam. A game called Rekka is like a house building game where you can transform your house into a walking house with chicken legs. Kind of like what's that mythical creature? I can't remember right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. I forget what it's called. The Babadook. That's it. No, I don't remember. Anyway, you essentially you build your house. You can build it from piece by piece, and then turn it into a walking house with chicken legs. You play as like a young witch trying to explore the world, essentially. Company of Heroes 3 Console Edition had a trailer. I don't know why. It's coming soon, and it looks fine. I'm not going to be picking it up on console, but that is coming soon. Seems fine. What are you going to do? It's Company of Heroes. Probably going to be pretty good. Stray Gods, the role-playing musical, got a pretty big trailer. Essentially, you play as like a goddess or a person who takes the powers of a goddess who makes everyone sing, kind of like the Music Miser in Batman, the animated series. And this is coming on the 3rd of August, and essentially it's a choice-based game, musical kind of, and it looks pretty interesting. I'm not sure I like how the characters are animated. They kind of just shift positions, which I'm not a huge fan of, but the music was pretty good, so and the story seems like it's going to be okay. we still got a couple more to do here. Reveal. This is a narrative psychological horror experiment. And the trailer was pretty good. I mean, you're in like a house and the surrounding area, like a carnival and stuff like that. And I mean, it looks pretty good. I don't know what to say, but I mean, it looks fine. I mean, I don't know what to. I don't know. It's a horror game. They didn't really show too much, but what they did show, kind of creepy. Kind of creepy. Looks like there's a little mini game to do as well throughout there. Now this was interesting. Pacific Drive had a deep dive, a developer deep dive here, and this actually kind of sold me on the game. The guy was talking about the inspiration for the game and using a station wagon to drive around the apocalypse while trying to survive, and customizing your vehicle and trying to escape, looks pretty cool. I would definitely recommend checking out the presentation instead of me trying to explain it because I'm not going to do it justice. But essentially, you craft and build your car. You have a bunch of different places that you can go to across this big and changing map, and you're trying to essentially dodge like aliens or something like that. It looks pretty cool. No release date yet for it though. Cookie Cutter is a game where you play as an android who changes her face and changes her style. She was designed to be anything that her creator wanted her to be. Which kind of sounds like a Stockholm Syndrome, but hey, what are you gonna do? Essentially, this is a 2D action game where you use different abilities to take out enemies. Looks pretty good. It's like an action platformer, and it's coming to PC in summer. The Precinct is also a pretty interesting looking game. If you're a fan of the old school GTA games, you may want to check this out. I believe was it last year or the year before that, Hustler came out, which was like a medieval GTA game. Top-down GTA game, but this one is much more. It's much has much better graphics, I should say, and essentially you play as like a police officer who's trying to solve some crime, run down suspects, etc., etc., in a world in a city, and it looks pretty good. I like how it looks. So this is coming sometime this year. You can wishlist it now. A game called Ludo is another horror title. It's got a chilling atmosphere. You go around this house, and shit's happening. It's hard to describe this game because it's just shit happens. It's a spooky game. It kind of has like a VHS kind of aesthetic, I think, too, which is kind of interesting. So there you go. And then finally, for the Future Game Showcase, the game Spirit of the Samurai was shown off. It's a side-scrolling samurai game that puts you in control of 3 very different warriors. The samurai, who is much more offensive, a cat, who is much more stealth, and a wolf spirit, which I'm not sure what the wolf spirit does. Probably just platforms really fast. Or no, not the wolf spirit. It's like a little spirit. You're like a little spirit. Like a little tiny little dude, which you can go underground and stuff with. They're kind of interesting. Not really sure what to say about this one. There's like this weird claymation kind of like stop motion monster that they showed in there too, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, it looks interesting. Kind of unique here and there. They did not give a release date for it yet though, so whatever. Oh boy, we got 2 more shows to go over, folks. Thank you for sticking with me. The Wholesome Games Showcase. A bunch of indie games coming soon, coming eventually. I'm going to go pretty fast through these. Miniko's Night Garden is coming on the 6th of September. This is a gardening game, and you're going to hear that a few times here. It's a 2D art style, drawn art style. Kind of reminds me of Roki, if you know what that game is. So, yeah, mini games galore, stuff like that. Doesn't look too bad. Picoe is a game where you essentially you make tea for cats, and you manage your treehouse and you serve customers to give them the perfect cup of tea. And this is going to be in Steam Early Access at the end of June if you want to check this out. Kind of a cozy game. Spirit Swap, Lo-Fi Beats. This is a match 3 puzzle game where you it's a pretty much a match 3 dating game. It's not a porno game like most that are 3 match 3 kind of games. But you can romance a number of characters in here. The style is not that great, but that's coming between on March 3rd. It looks like March 3rd. Button City Soccer Days. Essentially, this is a game all about playing soccer. You, I believe you build up your soccer team after your team is like, or I don't even know, but essentially you coach your team and you try and win big. That's it. You kick balls and you kick ass. There you go. Wishlist now. Frog Song. This is like a Zelda-like adventure, or an early Zelda-like adventure, where you play as like this little frog dude who's trying to become a warrior. The visual style is pretty nice. The frogs walk on all four legs, which is kind of weird. But what else are you gonna do? Looks interesting. That is coming sometime. Actually, this is coming right now. It's out. It's out right now. There you go. I am a caterpillar, and no, that's not a statement from myself. I am a caterpillar. You walk, you wiggle, you squirm around environments, collecting things to eat, to try and transform into a beautiful butterfly. That's pretty much the main gist of this game. Coming out sometime this year, next year. Bubblegum Galaxy is a game where you essentially build new galaxies, or planets to fill up a galaxy. You place down hexagon tiles in certain places to get combos, kind of like that Panorama game or the other games that I've talked about in the past, like Dorf Romantic. Looks pretty interesting. I do like these hexagon type of games, and if my main goal is to build a world, I've been pretty good at them. So there you go. Sticky Business. So this is a game where you create stickers for people, and you give them to them, and you put them places, and you sell them, and etc. There you go. It's coming in 2023. Moonstone Island has 100 plus islands to explore. It's an RPG about becoming a fully fledged alchemist. It's got a pixel art style, kind of like a 2D Zelda-like perspective, old Zelda-like perspective. This is coming to Steam Next Fest next month. The Palace on the Hill is this is a story-driven game, a slice of life adventure where you garden and milk cows in rural India in the 90s. You explore the world around you, design your garden, cook food, meet new friends, and more. And this is coming soon in August. Uzagi Shima. Love bunnies? Well, this is the bunny game for you. Essentially, it's your Chocobo garden. No, not Chocobo. What's the Sonic characters? I don't know. I don't care. Essentially, you essentially just manage rabbits. It's got a nice art style. Not going to be a game that I'm interested in, but there you go. This is coming September 1st. It's also coming to phones as well as Steam. Karma Zoo is a multiplayer 2D platformer where you help out your friends or persuade your friends to die so that you could move on with the level. But yeah, you help out other people by doing various tasks, and then you get left behind, or you die, or whatever. And that's the main gist of the game. Is you try and get through the level and finish the level with everyone helping each other. And that is coming soon. Flutter Away is a game filled with animals. There's not much to take away from the trailer, but it looks like you're going to be snapping pictures of butterflies and stuff like that in a 3D environment. There's a capybara, so people are going to love that. This is coming August 3rd to Switch and Steam. Kamaru, a frog refuge. This is a management sim where you breed and take pictures of frogs. And you literally breed them with like a genealogy chart and everything. And you also put stuff in the environment. You know, it's one of those slice of life kind of games. You know, wish list now. Baladins is a co-op adventure inspired by classic RPGs. There's like it's like a Paper Mario aesthetic again with the characters, but there's 3D environments. It has like quirky dialogue and stuff like that. It looks like it's going to be a turn-based game, so maybe it's more Paper Mario than I thought initially. But that is coming in early 2024. A little to the left, Cupboards and Drawers DLC got another trailer. It feels like this is the biggest release ever because we've seen like 15 trailers for this thing. It's just adding new stuff to the base game, and it's coming, I don't know, sometime. Henry Halfhead is a game where you play as just a head, and you can inhabit other things like an apple, or a fork, or a knife, or whatever, which is kind of interesting. Or a seed, and you can grow into a plant and stuff like that. So yeah, it looks like it's a pretty cool puzzle game. You know, you know me. I like these quirky kind of games, and this one they didn't give a release date for it, or even a coming soon. So hopefully that's coming around. Gordlets is a game where you it's another sim kind of game where you build up a town and you make it a tourist destination, you know. That's essentially it. You build up the town, you garden, you sim. Everything's a sim now. Lakeburg Legacies is another sim game where you manage marketing and relationships in your kingdom to thrive. This is coming to PC on the 20th of July. Essentially, you play as like the king or something like that, and you get to choose like where things go and what happens and who mates with who, essentially. So yeah, there you go. Loftia. There's no release date for this yet, but it is another garden sim game where you plant a garden and you do garden stuff. Yay! Bestie Ball. You like volleyball or cute animals? In this game, you play as the coach of an animal crew, kind of like Pokemon, where you can battle other coaches with their kind of Pokemon type things. And if you get enough experience, your Pokemon level up, or your quote unquote Pokemon level up. You can battle out in the world and challenge people to matches. I don't believe there's a co-op or PvP mode, but that is coming to Kickstarter. It's now on Kickstarter if you want to check that out. Smushy Come Home is a 3D platformer where you play as a little mushroom who's trying to explore the world. And I think it's made by the same people who did Short Hike, I believe. So it's got that nice aesthetic to it. But it's available now if you want to check that out on Switch and Steam. Venba, I talked about this game before. It's like a cooking game where you make Asian food. I thought it was Indian food, but it's Asian food. And essentially, yeah, it's one of those games where it's like a cooking mama almost, where you cook food and, you know, prepare it. And the better you do, the better your results are, you know. Looks interesting. I like the art style. And it's coming July 31st. Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland. This is a game where you play. It's like a Metroidvania where you go inside your dreams and you do platforming challenges, puzzles, fight enemies, I guess. And if you quote unquote die or, you know, get KO'd, you wake up and you go back to sleep. So there's no real damage for losing, except you lose a little bit of sleep, I guess. Garden Witch Life. This is a game where you play as a witch and you're gardening and you're trying to make potions, I guess, and whatever. So there you go. It's a garden game. Play the closed beta right now. Orange Season is an open-ended RPG all about growing your farm and planting things. It's kind of like Stardew Valley. There you go. This is coming. No, they don't have a release date for that yet. Okay, can we get something different, please? Yes. Okay, so Surmount, spelled Surmount. This looks pretty fun, actually. So this is a game where you play as a climber who is trying to climb up a mountain that's never been climbed before. And essentially you create your character, and you can actually co-op in this as well if you need to with another player. You're attached to them. And it's also kind of like getting over it, where if you fail, you kind of got to reclimb what you've fallen down from. This will be featured at the Steam Next Fest, if you want to check that out. Groves. This is a game where you plant a garden, and you are a witch, and you make friends with the plant life around you to extend and grow your garden even more. Sound familiar? I bet it does. This is coming. It's actually on Kickstarter right now. You can support them if you want to. Y'all are gonna fucking hate me. Garden Buddies is a story-based gardening game, slice of life game where your plants can talk to you. Yeah, so creatures, plants, and vegetables inhabit it. You can befriend them, and you can have characters join your garden. There's also some sort of rhythm game in there as well. But yeah, that's coming later this year on Switch and Steam. All right, folks, finally something different. A Tiny Sticker's Tale. This is a game where you play as a donkey, and you essentially grab things from the environment and turn them into stickers that you can use later. So if you need to build a bridge, you take the bridge from one place and you put it somewhere else. You take a tree from one place and you put it somewhere else to solve puzzles. Looks pretty cozy. I like the aesthetic, and it's on Kickstarter right now if you want to check them out. Everdeep Aurora is a retro-style, kind of Game Boy aesthetic kind of game where you play as a cat who's trying to find her mother. It's a crazy world out there. It's coming to Steam and Switch in 2024. I like the aesthetic. I like the soundtrack. I'm not sure what the game is in general. It seems like it's a platformer or something like that. But yeah, if you want to check that out, that's coming in 2024. Kibu is a game where you play as a red panda and you garden and you platform and you survive and do stuff. This is coming later this year. Magical Delicacy is a game about finding like stuff for your recipes. You're a witch, don't forget about that. You're finding stuff for recipes and cooking them in your kitchen, and you gotta make sure you do what the person wants. So if the person doesn't want a hot item, you gotta make sure you don't make it hot. Or if you do have something in your inventory that's hot, you gotta make sure you counteract that with something to make it kind of like a cooler, less spicy thing. You can wishlist that now if you want to. Little Friends Puppy Island is kind of like a spiritual successor to Nintendogs. You get dogs and you play with them and you dress them up and you go on adventures with them. And you build up like the world and town around you. And that's coming on the 27th of June. There's a demo available right now. The Guardian of Nature is a game where you play as Henry, who is a botanist. And you're the last guardian of nature. You can shrink and grow in size as need be. It's got a nice art style to it. Reminds me of like a 90s cartoon. There's puzzles to solve, mysteries to discover, and more. And it's available on Steam now, I guess. It's available on Steam, I guess. Kind of interesting. Town Seek. This is a game that's like a pixel art game where you play as like a merchant of the sky using blimps to travel far and wide to different locations and to trade with people. And you also meet up with friends and stuff like that. There's a bunch of cameos from other games like the Gator from Little Gator Game, Claire from A Short Hike, and the Lamb from Call to the Lamb. Pretty cool if you want to check that out. That is coming in 2023, late 2023. Feed All Monsters is coming out the 22nd of June. This is actually a pretty interesting game. It's Feed All Monsters, yeah. Essentially, it's like a grid system, and you try and take out all the monsters at the same time, or give them food at the same time. So it's like a puzzle game where you set things up, and then things happen. It looks pretty good, not gonna lie. It's available on Steam. Manita's Kitchen. This is a game where you play as a T-Rex who dreams of being the best pizza maker ever. And, of course, there's some sort of weird conspiracy that goes on, and there's competition to go against. And you have little helpers that help you in the kitchen every so often. Looks pretty cute, not going to lie. There's no release date for that yet, but it looks pretty cute. Unpacking is officially coming to mobile devices later this year. That's pretty much the gist of it. I wasn't a huge fan of Unpacking, but I can see why people would want to play it on their phones. Botany Manor is all about gathering seeds and growing plants. Essentially, you plant seeds in flower pots all around the manor in different environments to help them grow, and it's coming to Steam later this year. Solar Punk is a crafting game, management game, where you have little robots who help you around in a futuristic world made of floating islands. You garden, you pilot crafts, you visit other gardens, you manage your robots, and it's on Kickstarter right now. While the Iron's Hot is a blacksmith game where you create weapons and gear for other characters in the game and deliver them so that they can have a jolly life. You create candles, candelabras, swords, shields, etc. Looks kind of interesting. They did not give a release date for that. It's just coming soon. Q4 of 2023. Wildflowers, spelled with a Y instead of an I. This is a game about farming, and it's a slice of life kind of game where you build your farm and you're a witch and you befriend magical creatures and romance them, and at night you do magic. It's available now on the Apple Arcade and Switch and Steam. A Highland Song. This is a game set in the Scottish Highlands. You try and cross 3 peaks as a young girl and try and get to your uncle's lighthouse. The soundtrack is pretty good, and it's also a multi-traversal game, so you can go different ways that if you want to. And it's coming to Steam later this year. Sushi Ben is a game where you help out the owner of a sushi place by giving him new customers, and to get these new customers, you need to do various tasks for them. And this is a VR game, and what they do is they do like these panel-in-panel shots, which give the game a little bit more charm. And there is not a release date for that quite yet. Snufkin, Melody of Moomin Valley. What are Moomins? It's like an old school cartoon or comic book or something like that being reborn in video game form. It's got a nice visual style to it. You play as like a character who's helping out the people around town, you know. You can learn more at snufkin.game. The Star Named Eos is coming in 2024. This is a moving puzzle game where you use photography to solve puzzles within the environment. Looks pretty good. Essentially, you set up pictures like you would you set up pictures and do puzzles, and you take pictures and you reveal the past. Does that make sense? I hope it does. It's coming in 2024. The Fall of Porcupine is a unique story adventure. It's like a reflection of an unhealthy healthcare system. I don't know what that means. Experience an exciting story of Finley and his friends in a lovingly illustrated world. You play as a pigeon, even though the game is called Fall of Porcupine. I guess Porcupine is just the name of the town. This is coming out on the 15th of June. It's kind of like a 2D kind of game where you do some mini games here and there for story stuff. It doesn't look too bad. Story of Seasons Wonderful Life is a farming game. It's coming soon, and it's coming June 27th. So yeah, it's a farming game. You plant seeds, you find love, you make babies, all that stuff. The Bookshop is a game where you own a bookmobile, essentially, and you go from town to town selling books and upgrading your little bookmobile wagon that's trails behind your car. I can't believe I've been talking for an hour and 30 and we still have one more show to do today. Yeah, it seems pretty good. I kind of enjoy it. You can wish list it on Steam now. Wood and Weather is a game where you play with like little toys and you solve problems for them. You decorate residents' houses, you put on movies, you pick up trash, do random odd tasks for them. There's a demo available right now for the game, and that was called Wood and Weather. Campfire Cat Cafe is a game all about cats, and you essentially make food for them in a forest and all the forest creatures as well. So you play as like a chef, and you're just feeding the woodland creatures, and they love you, and you expand and do all this stuff. It looks visually it looks pretty good, and you actually play it right meow. Sopa is a fancy game where you explore worlds and mountains and talking beasts. This is coming in 2024. Co-developed, or under the Xbox banner, I guess you could say. Looks kind of interesting. It's like a cooking game, I think. I'm not sure. Oh my gosh. Tracks of Thought is a game where you play as a ladybug. And you are on a train that's never ending. You gotta solve a mystery of who done it, you know? Looks kind of interesting. Actually, I think you need to find out why people are on the train or something like that. Because you have amnesia or something. Whatever. It's coming in sometime this year. Go-Go Town is another city building game where you build your own city. This is coming July 3rd. It's got a not so unique art style. But essentially, yeah, you just build up a town with little drones and stuff like that. And finally, Fields of Mystria is a pixel art game coming from Toby Fox. It's Starview. It's like Starview Valley, but with magic. I'm losing it, folks. Explore the town, make new friends, and cover mysterious ruins in 2024. There you go. And there was also like a big sizzle reel of a bunch of games. The main ones that I thought were kind of interesting looking were Caddo is a game where it's like a platformer and it's like a cat with toast on its back or something like that. Ducky's Delivery Service looked pretty good. It's exactly what the name implies. Pizza Possum, I talked about this game. It's kind of like Untitled Goose Game, except you're a possum trying to steal pizza with friends. Town Frame is a game where you set up pictures. I don't know what else to say about that. And etc. If you want to check out that, you can check out the whole freaking showcase. So that was the cozy game showcase. And you might be asking me, why would you even go over some of these showcases? They're not like, why would you go over the future game showcase? Why would you go over the cozy game showcase? Like, because indie games matter, okay? Even though some of them are very samey, indie games matter, and you should care. Okay, finally, let's move on to the last showcase for this episode, which is the Xbox Games Showcase. First up, we had a new cinematic trailer for the new Fable game, and they revealed that it was going to be coming to the modern times, but still having that Fable aesthetic. There you go. Compulsion Games revealed their new game called South of Midnight with a cinematic trailer. Didn't show really anything off about it, but I liked the cinematic trailer. It was kind of interesting. Don't know what the game is. A new Star Wars game is coming in 2024 called Star Wars Outlaws. It was another cinematic trailer. Looks kind of interesting. It's an open world Star Wars game where you play as like a smuggler, I think. 33 Immortals is a roguelike co-op action game coming in 2024. Nice visual style. Not really sure what all's going on there. Payday 3 is officially launching in September on Xbox. It looks exactly the same as Payday 2, so Payday fans, I'm sure you'll be in love with this. Persona 3 Reload is a reborn experience coming in early 2024. Essentially, I think it's like a remake or a redo of the Persona 3 game, which recently got re-released anyway. So there you go. Obsidian shared a new look at Avowed, which looked pretty good, launching in 2024. This is like the Skyrim successor, essentially, while we're waiting for the next Elder Scrolls. They did a great job with the Outer Worlds, so I think Avowed looks also pretty good. If you like Skyrim, probably going to be a comparable game. Sea of Thieves is having a crossover with LucasArts Games for Monkey Island. Sea of Thieves is going to have Monkey Island events happening within it, starting on July 20th. Microsoft Flight Simulator is getting a 2024 edition, and there will be a Dune expansion in the 2023 game. Or I'm sorry, in late 2023. So Flight Simulator 2024 and the Dune expansion are coming in late 2023. Oh my gosh. It looked pretty good. I guess they added some new stuff in there, like helicopters and like actual things to do than just fly around, you know, which is pretty cool. Hellblade 2 got a nice new trailer. It didn't really show too much, but it reaffirmed that this is a Hellblade game and it's probably going to be pretty crazy, and it's got a 2024 release window. Like a Dragon is getting a new game called Infinite Wealth, and that's coming early 2024. Essentially, it looks like you're going to be in California for this one. You're going to somehow be mysteriously wake up. You're gonna mysteriously wake up in California or a like city. Looks like it's gonna be kind of funny. Fallout 76 is getting a new Atlantic City DLC or expansion. They didn't show anything about it, so I don't really care. Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess is a game coming from Capcom, which is launching on Game Pass. It kind of looks like a hack and slash, beautifully looking, a beautiful looking game. Kind of looks like a hack and slash though, where you play as like a couple of characters who use magic arts, I suppose, to take out Japanese mythology. Forza Motorsport officially arrives on Xbox Series S and X this October. They showed off a new trailer showcasing Chevy. So this is coming on October 10th. I mean, if you're a car dude, or a car person, I should say, don't want to, be only to dudes, it looks pretty good for a car game. So there you go. There's a new trailer for the Elder Scrolls Online Necrom expansion. This adds the Lovecraftian stuff to the game. Looks fine. Overwatch 2. They actually announced that the co-op and the single player is going to be coming to the game still. So I don't know what that other news article was on about or what the last announcement was officially for, but they are still adding co-op in here and some other new game modes. So that's coming later this year, which it doesn't seem too bad. Persona 5 Tactica is launching on Xbox in November. This is a new spin-off of Persona 5 where it's a turn-based strategy game, kind of like Fire Emblem, if you want to check that out. Don't Nod is developing a new game called Jusant. I'm not sure how to say that. Oh, great, I lost my place. Hold on. Jusant is coming in fall of 2023. Okay, so this is a game where you climb, essentially. You climb up a hill with like futuristic technology and stuff like that, or a mountain. Not even a hill, it's a mountain. And of course, there's more than meets the eye. So yeah, it looks kind of interesting. Definitely going to check that out when it comes around. Here's an interesting game, Still Wakes the Deep. This is a oil rig horror game, essentially, where you get left on the oil rig and something crazy is happening. There's like some sort of beast on the oil rig. Kind of cool concept. This is coming in early 2024. Dungeon of Hinterberg. This is a game where you essentially, it's like a dungeon crawler with also a world to explore outside of the dungeons. It's got an interesting art style. It kind of reminds me of Hi-Fi Rush a little bit. Kind of looks interesting. That's coming in 2024. Cities Skylines 2 had a nice gameplay trailer. This is coming October 24th. If you're a fan of these games, looks like they've expanded with highways, railway systems, actual changing seasons, stuff like that. So if you're a fan of City Skylines, this is going to be a pretty nice game for you, I think. Looks like they added a bunch of stuff in here. Towerborn, not to be confused with Bloodborne or Battleborn. So Towerborn is a game where you, it's like a 2D hack and slash, co-op hack and slash. It's got an interesting art style, I guess. It doesn't look that great in my opinion, but I think the hack and slash gameplay is going to be okay. I like the monster design. The monsters look kind of fun. This is coming in 2024. Clockwork Revolution. I thought this was going to be a new BioShock game or a sequel or a prequel to BioShock Infinite. That's kind of how it feels like. But essentially, Clockwork Revolution is a time-bending steampunk first-person action RPG. You stumble across an incredible invention that allows you to travel into the past as you discover the city that you call home. The vibrant steam-powered metropolis of Avalon has been carefully crafted through an alteration of historical events. By traveling back and forth, you can intervene in these moments. So it is kind of BioShock Infinite, but also not, I guess. And that was the end of that. But of course, there was also the Starfield Direct, and I will tell you, I can't even describe. It was the Starfield Direct was very good. I will say that. They talked in length about exploring planets, quest lines, companions, your ship, space combat, different factions you'll meet. I already talked about storylines. Different companions you'll have, who can actually inhabit your ship and the various outposts you set up. They confirmed, yep, there's over 1,000 planets, all with the unique ecosystems and fine-tuned quest lines on the planets. I don't know if you're going to actually be able to explore the entire planet per se, but it's probably going to be darn near close, maybe, possibly. There's derelict ships to find, various side missions to stumble upon. The combat looks nice. It doesn't look too bad, you know. I mean, for a Bethesda game, it's a first person shooter, so I'm not expecting the world out of it, especially with everything else going on in the game. But the weapons look really cool. The environments look really nice. What else can I say? Still apparently on track to come out this year to Xbox Series X and S. So we'll see how that goes. But I am excited for it. I think that it's going to be probably one of the games to play this year. I know that Xbox really disappointed with Redfall, but I think that Starfield's going to knock it out of the park. But we'll have to wait and see. As of right now, I'm very interested in it. They went over everything that you could possibly want to know about the game. And I forgot to mention perks and like character creation and stuff like that. They went over all that stuff. So if you want to check that out, I would definitely recommend watching the full thing because I'm not going to be able to remember everything that happened in there. One and two, it's better to hear it from the horse's mouth. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. Wow, after almost 2 hours, that is the end of the first segment of the podcast. Let's move on to Coffee with Callus. Please, Callus, take it away. I'm tired of talking.
Hello, and welcome to another segment of Coffee with Callus. Coffee with a K. So, just the other day, I was saying in Yemmy's server how I've now put more than 70 hours into Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So I thought I would give more expanded thoughts on the game, but I'm going to keep it brief because I'm sure this will be a jam-packed episode. So yeah, 70 hours into the game now, and I was saying how I'm going to probably start slowing down now. The way I played Breath of the Wild, I played it very slowly to where I only was able to beat it like 2 years later because I just took my time exploring everything and like seeing all there is to see and just taking my time, like going at a steady pace. So I'm going to probably start doing that with this game now. I mean, I say that, and I just put like 3 more hours into the game yesterday. Because, I mean, this is just such a much bigger game. Though the way I'm playing it much different than I did Breath of the Wild. Because in Breath of the Wild, I kind of just like searched the towers first and just uncovered the entire map before like I did any of the major stuff. Which I feel like that was a mistake. Because then I didn't really have like any clear goals of where to go next and what to do, and I kind of lost track of what areas I still needed to go, and to this day, I think there's still areas in Breath of the Wild that I have not yet explored, which is insane, because I put like 250 hours into that game. But the way I'm playing this game is I'm trying to get certain items first, before like I kind of do the main things that I wanted to accomplish. Like, for example, so when you first land in Hyrule after that whole Sky Island section, you want to go to Lookout Landing to get certain quests, and also is where you get the paraglider farm, which is super important in this game. And from there, they kind of guide you towards certain areas. They guide you to the Rito village first, and on the way there, you come across Impa, which gives you the quests for the memories, which are sort of super important for the story. So I feel like this game does a much better job of kind of guiding you a bit more linearly. But I mean, of course, you can just spread out and explore any direction you want, and like it's still fully open to where you can do just whatever you want whenever you want. But I feel like this game does a better job of guiding you through main quests and side quests of like just things to do in order. And I would recommend going like on YouTube or looking up whatever articles that say like 7 side quests you must do now, or something along those lines. There's a whole bunch of articles like that where they tell you things that you should do first because they give you super important items, which some are kind of easy to miss, if you don't go back to Lookout Landing, they this is okay. So Lookout Landing is a place you're gonna want to go time and time again because there's new things being added and like new quests being given out that are very important, and also give you essential items basically. So yeah, that's the one I've kind of been trying to do first, just trying to go after like the essential things. I did do one temple, just because I felt like just taking a break from exploring and just doing one of the story things. But yeah, the one essential item I'm still missing is the travel medallion, which, by the way, it's awesome that a lot of the DLC items that they added in Breath of the Wild have just now like been included in the base game here. Like for example, the hero's path, to where you can pull up the map and just see the exact places that Link has been to, and like it just records up to 250 hours, I think, of just like every single thing that you can just see the whole line of every path you've taken, and it's really cool because it's like actually an easier way to keep track of where you've been or where you still have yet to go to, which is awesome that it's included here. And yeah, the travel medallion, which allows you to place the medallion like anywhere in the map, and then you can just travel there from anywhere whenever you want, which is very useful. I'm trying to get that next, which has been an insane quest because okay, so the travel medallion, I got the side quest for it. I talked to the guy that tells you where it is, and it's like at the top most right corner, like at the top right corner of the entire map. So I've been kind of like going my way there, and on my way there, I've come across so many different things. I've come across stables that have a bunch of side quests in each, and I've come across a bunch of different characters and shrines and this and that and caves, and I have been trying to get to the travel medallion for hours and hours at this point. And just yesterday, I came across Tarrytown, which is the town that you kind of like built from scratch in Breath of the Wild, which is now expanded, and I haven't really done anything in it yet, but it looks like there's so many characters, so many new things to do, and like I feel like I'm gonna waste a couple more hours there before I move on. And I also think it's the place that allows you to build a house for Link, which is exciting. Can't wait to do that. But yeah, I've kind of just been like just wasting so many hours just finding so many different things along the way, and I feel like I still have barely scratched the surface of this game. And I don't know if the way I'm playing it right now is also a mistake, just because I've kind of like been going all over the place looking for these different things, and I've kind of like marked things on the map. Okay, this is a point of interest. Oh, okay, there's a Korak here that I need to go back to, and I have so many things marked on the map. I don't know how I'm gonna tackle everything. And of course, there's also like the Sky Islands. I've done a little bit of exploring, but not really too much. Which there's a whole bunch of them out there. Every time I uncover a new map, I put like a star on all the Sky Islands that I see. And that way, whenever I visit the Sky Island, I can take the star off, so I know, okay, that one is explored, but I still need to go to these over there. And I know I could use the hero's path to see which ones I've been to or not, but I like using my star method, so I just like I can keep a better eye on it from far. And then the underground, I haven't really explored too much of that, but I have found quite a few interesting things down there. One of the last abilities you get is in the central mines on the depths, to where it allows you to like it records everything that you've built, and you can see like all the different vehicles and things that you've built, and you can like save favorites, and also you can like find schematics to where like it shows you blueprints of things that you can build. And it's actually really cool because you can just like from anywhere you are, you can like summon these things that you've previously built, which you would usually need materials to build these things. And if there are no materials nearby, like then you can use the Sonite resource to just conjure the things that you needed, which is awesome because you do find a lot of them down in the depths. Oh, but you do need the Sonite for improving your battery though, which is the one thing I don't like about this game. So you have to go to the depths, and there's this guy that trades you the Sonite for Sonite charges. And once you have 100 Sonite charges, you gotta go to a different place and you trade in like 100 sonite charges for more battery life, basically for your creations. Now, I don't know why they make you go to two different places so you can upgrade your battery, which it's a little bit annoying. And the guy in the devs only has like a limited amount of sonite charges, so you have to like come back to that place like after you've exhausted all that he has to offer. It's a bit weird that Nintendo did it this way, but oh well. Like, I'm having so much fun with this game. It's not really even that much of a pain, anyways. So another thing I wanted to talk about last time, but that I completely forgot about, is the weapon durability. Now, this is something that annoyed a lot of people in Breath of the Wild. They were saying things like, why do weapons have to break? Why can't I just keep them? And it's like so annoying having to go out and find weapons all the time. And weapon durability is back with a vengeance in Tears of the Kingdom. Not only do weapons still break, but now, like, because of the gloom that has taken over Hyrule, all the weapons now are, what's the word that they use? Corrupted, I think. So yeah, like, every weapon you find in Hyrule has been corrupted and now breaks easier, which is insane. But now that you have the fuse ability, I think the reason why Nintendo made it this way is because they want you to, like, fuse every weapon to something, which actually improves not only the damage, but also the durability. So, like, every time you find a weapon, you're going to want to fuse it with something. And this actually opens up a whole new world of, like, possibilities, because... So before you found, like, once you find, like, a better weapon, you run out of space and you gotta, like, discard the weaker weapons, which is fine. But with this new method of, like, just, fusing your own weapons, you actually have freedom to make it basically get as strong as you want. So all the enemies drop these different monster parts, mostly horns, and harder enemies drop better horns. So, like, the better thing that you fuse to the weapon, the stronger that becomes. But also you can, like, fuse different things. Like, if you need a hammer or an axe, you can fuse a boulder to your sword and then it creates a hammer. That way you have, basically, you can make what you need instead of, like, having to look for it, which I think is a interesting solution to the weapon durability problem. And it actually works out great because there's, like, so many cool combinations that you can do. So if you fuse a lizard tail to your sword, guess what? You now have a whip. And there's different Lizalfos, so you can have, like, an ice whip or a fire whip. And it's just so many different things you can do. Like the black Bokoblins have, like, these 3-pronged horns, so you fuse that to your weapon and, like, it looks like a trident. And it's really cool. And, like, the blue Lizalfos have, like, this super long and sharp horn, so you fuse that to your weapon and now it looks like a super long katana. And it's pretty strong. And so yeah, you can basically, you kill so many monsters in this game, and you're gonna want to hunt different monsters, because that way you have, like, whenever you want, whenever you find, like, this whatever cheap weapon laying around, just fuse it to, like, one of these cool parts, and then you have a good weapon. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Just the other day, I found this cave that I started exploring, and there's, like, these entrances within the cave that are, like, blocked by rocks. And since you don't have unlimited bombs anymore, you gotta use hammers to break through them. So, which is fine. I just I actually try to keep at least one hammer with me at all times. But there's so many rocks down there that you have to, like, break through, that I ended up actually breaking a whole bunch of weapons that way. But as you're breaking these rocks, there's, like, claymores and swords that drop on the floor, so you grab those and then you find, like, whatever near rock or boulder, and then you create a new hammer. This cave is so long and had so many different pathways and just kept going that I ended up having to, like, make, like, a dozen hammers, and, like, I broke all of them, and the cave just kept going and going, and I was like, wow, I had to, like, stop playing one night and keep going the next day just because that cave was just not ending. And I was finding treasures, and, like, I found a boss down there, and eventually I did come to the end of the cave, which the cave led to Hyrule Castle ruins, and it was pretty cool, like exploring the Hyrule Castle once again. So like the exploration didn't end; I just kept going, and it's insane the way this game leads you to do things, and like you just unexpectedly start exploring things that you would never thought to explore just because the game kind of leads you to them. So that was awesome. And as I mentioned, I did do one of the temples, and yay, temples are back. But they're not really like traditional temples. So they are more similar to the Divine Beast from Breath of the Wild, to where they're kind of like big open spaces that you can kind of explore. Now, I've only done one shrine, so I mean, sorry, one temple. So I don't know if they are like the other ones are much different or not. But basically, they give you like 4 or 5 points of interest, like things that you need to activate, so you can do them in any order you want. And there are no like keys or different things like that, like in the traditional temples. They do give you a map, which is pretty cool. So that is back about the traditional Zelda dungeons. You get to look in the map and see where you need to go. And then, once you activate all the different things, then there's a boss battle at the end. Now, the boss battle that I did was pretty cool. I was like very impressed, and it was an awesome fight. So can't wait to do the rest. But yeah, I guess these temples are more like a mixture between traditional and the divine beasts from Breath of the Wild. So not exactly what I want out of my Zelda temples, but they're definitely much improved from Breath of the Wild. So I'm happy about that. And yeah, that's the other thing that I noticed about this game is how just they kind of improved everything from the Breath of the Wild. So when you're out exploring, there's like a lot more points of interest. There's a lot more for you to do and see, and like there's people everywhere that you talk to, and they give you side quests, and most of them are like pretty quick and easy to do, and involve you having to like solve a puzzle by building something or figuring out how to get to something. And also the combat is improved because you can like fuse your weapons to anything to tackle the monsters, whichever way you want. Or you can also build vehicles or these sonar devices that also can help you fight the enemies. Like there's these automated cars that you can attach things to, and they'll automatically roll towards the enemies. So you can attach like a flamethrower or a laser to it, and they'll like just automatically go towards the enemy and start fighting the bad guys. It's pretty cool. And the side quests are improved. I feel like they are a lot more interesting to do and allow you to do a bunch of cool stuff that you wouldn't think to do, and kind of like lead you to think outside the box, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I said I was gonna probably slow down, but I feel like I'm still very much hooked on this game, and like if I jump into Tears of the Kingdom, I know that I'm probably gonna waste away another couple hours until I have to stop and do something else. Otherwise, I would probably just keep going. But yeah, I want to, especially with Final Fantasy 16 coming out soon, I kind of want to really slow down and just kind of go back and forth between this game and a different game. This is probably a game that I'll play like very long form, just like I did Breath of the Wild, to where like I'll play other games in between, but this is the one game that I'll kind of go back to and kind of play casually and just sink a few hours every week into it until I'm completely done with it, which is probably gonna take years. So yeah, this is my latest thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom. I am loving it. I fully recommend it, and I recommend looking up side quests to do first, because those have helped out a lot. And yeah, I will bring it back to Yemmy now. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Callus, for doing another little review, or more impressions, I should say, for Tears of the Kingdom. As you know, I did not get it, but I'm glad that Callus is having what seems like a good time with the game. Let's move on to what I've been playing this past week. Alright, to start things off, Amnesia the Bunker. I played that a little bit over the weekdays. And talk about a return to form. After the abysmal rebirth and the way too straightforward Machine for Pigs, Amnesia the Bunker is exactly what I was hoping for in this new iteration of the Amnesia series. Uh, the monster is absolutely terrifying at times. The system of just refueling your generator and making sure you do things in time to get back and refuel that, because if you don't, it's going to be a bad time. And also, there's still a war going on above you, so artillery strikes, gunfire, people taking pot shots at you when you take a peek out of a foxhole or whatever, whatever you want to call it. There's so much going on in the game, including the randomness of your playthrough. I've done one. I'm not even. I feel like I'm not even touching the surface of my playthrough right now. But I already know that things are changing up because I did start another playthrough just to see, and yeah, things, codes changed, locations of stuff changed. So I went back to my first playthrough because I just wanted to see the realness of that, and I was very satisfied with that. Amnesia the Bunker has been great so far. I don't have too much to say because it is, I am just starting and I really didn't have time to play it this week, but I will say it's been great so far. It's a little buggy, I think. Not in terms of like run ending, but when you go into certain sections of the bunker, like it takes like 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, but it takes a couple minutes to load, which is kind of weird. And then when you go back through the bunker and you go back through that area, it takes like a point 0.5 seconds. I don't know if it's because I'm playing a PS4 game on the PS5. I don't know, but it is a little bit weird to me. But other than that, I mean the atmosphere of this game, the puzzles you need to solve, the exploration of said bunker, it's really, really good so far. And if you want a nice spooky survival horror game, this is it for you. And if you want a game that you can replay and not have the same experience, this is also the game for you. Right now, probably my one gripe is that the healing system in the game, it doesn't even matter because you get one shot killed by the monster if he grabs you. So there's no reason to have a healing system in the game at all, in my opinion. I guess the heal from gunshots or rats, but other than that, and maybe hurting yourself on fire, I don't know. Other than that, it's a one-hit kill for the monster, so it doesn't even matter if you're at full health. But I will say the inventory system is incredible. Looking at your gun and reloading it is like a really cool thing. Very enjoyable. Can't wait to play more. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of Amnesia or if you want a spooky game. I forgot to talk about this last week, but I played a game called Friends vs. Friends. It's like a first person 1v1 game, or you can do 2v2 as well. They kind of just throw you into the game with little to no explanation, but essentially you choose a character, they have like a special ability attached to them or a special whatever attribute, and you have a deck, and you build your deck by playing, leveling up, beating opponents, and unlocking little card packs. So I think the game is fun. I don't think it has a lot of longevity in it though, because already right now I can tell that the game is starting to decrease in the player number, even though they were literally practically giving it away for $3 when it first launched, and it's only a $10 game. But that also shows you that there's really not much else going on. You can't do anything, offline or against. I mean, you can practice against bots, I guess, but it doesn't count towards your overall XP. And a lot of times matches will be lopsided because the other person just drew a better hand, and it's a random factor. You can't really tell when someone's going to be, all of a sudden they're going to be down for the count, or they're going to be up ahead of you, because that's just the way the game is. You draw the right cards and you use them in the right order, and boom, bada bing, you're good to go. But it's not like Inscription or another deck builder game, because it is a first person shooter. So when you activate a card, things happen on screen to you. So you can put on a helmet, you can poison the other player, you can heal, you can get a shotgun or a sniper rifle or a revolver or an SMG. You can lay down a landmine. You can do all these different things. And it's all random. It all pulls from your deck. So graphically, I think the game is kind of weird looking. Character design wise, also kind of weird looking. Soundtrack's kind of annoying because it plays constantly when you're loading and stuff like that. So I can't really recommend Friend versus Friends, even though I do think it's still a fun game. I don't think that's a great game. So there you go. I also was playing a game called Bleak Sword DX this week, and I'm finding this game to be very, very good. This is like a Souls-like game, except it's like on this like a 5x5 square of land, and the enemies kind of pop up, and you got to fight them. Really, the only thing that I'm not so happy about is it's a very slight animation of when you actually pull up your shield and bring it down. You tap LB or R or L1 to bring up your shield for like a second, and then you put it down. So it's hard to time that at times because it's such a slight and small animation, And I cannot tell you how many times like I feel like my shield should have been down, but I still blocked something or parried something, or other times where I feel like my shield should have been up because I pressed the button, you know. So that's the only thing that's kind of like annoying me right now. But I am in like the 5th area now, and I'm getting more used to the controls. And they are upping the difficulty with every single one of these, let me tell you. And they are switching things up too. Like there was a whole section where you were riding a horse, and it was a very nice visual of like the horse, riding along in this 5x5 square, and like the stuff was passing you. You had to jump over obstacles and stuff like that while also fighting enemies. You can level up your character, level up their stats. If you die, you lose your experience and you have one chance to get it back. And if you die again, then you lose it, but you don't lose any progress, which is nice. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward game. I think the soundtrack is amazing, and also the person who developed the game made their own sound effects for like the swords and the hits and stuff like that, which I find very charming. So far, it's been a really fun game and a very good game. So if you want to check that out, Bleak Sword DX, it's like $5 on Steam. It's a great game coming from Devolver. Definitely check that out if you'd like. If you want like a little bit of a different kind of Souls-like game, it's not super overly hard, but it's not easy either. So there you go. And we also were playing a bunch of Played Up recently. We got back into that. It's still a great game. I kind of got burned out of it a little, last year. But they've been changing up, adding new foods to cook, and making the game a little bit more difficult, adding new things to make your restaurant more difficult to manage, stuff like that. So I've been enjoying Played Up a lot more now. It did come out last year, so it's not like it's going to end up on my top 10 list this year. But I think with the improvements to the game and the new stuff they've added, I think it's definitely worth playing if you have a group of friends. You want to open up it's a roguelite restaurant game. It's very unique and it's very fun, especially with friends. So there you go. And finally, for things that we didn't do on stream, NBA 2K23 came to PlayStation Plus Essentials, and what do you know? It's actually a pretty competent sports game. Obviously, there's stuff that I don't really understand because I'm not a huge basketball guy, so I don't know all the rules and all the rules book stuff. But it's actually been quite a good time, even though I've lost every single game against Greedy Waffles so far. The games have been close, and I think that's something that can't be said for something like Madden, where a lot of times one person will just kind of go away with it, It seems like things are pretty equal in NBA, and I think that, it's kind of... It's got a pretty basic control scheme, all things considered, but the way that they use the controls makes things complicated. So you use the right stick to like raise your arms and cover guys. You hold down L2 to go into a low stance and cover them automatically or whatever. You press triangle to try and block shots. You press square to try and steal the ball. You also press square to shoot the ball if you're on the opponent's side. And you can do like step backs and shoots. You can pass the ball to multiple different players. Of course, you are also the coach as well. So you gotta, make sure the guys who are tired or get out of there. You got, you get fresh talent in there. So far I've really only played the training mode and the 1v1s against Greedy Waffles, which I've lost all of them. Let me reiterate that I have lost every single game against Greedy Waffles because he is a god basketball player. Okay, he's gonna love that. So, the training mode I feel like is kind of lacking. They literally just put you into an empty court and they say, here's how to do everything. And they don't actually have like any training at all. contrary to like Madden, which actually has like a trainer so you can actually learn the controls and stuff like that. Whereas in the NBA, it's literally just like, here's the controls, here's how to do everything, just go at it, and they don't really tell you how to do anything. So that's kind of annoying. But other than that, I think it's a pretty well put together basketball game. It's the first one I've played since like I don't even know 16 NBA 16, which was also free on PlayStation Plus back in the day. So there you go, pretty good pickup there, and enjoyable. It's been enjoyable. Games always start off kind of loosey goosey. You're complimenting each other's shots, and then there's a point where it becomes more competitive, and you start to shut up and maybe get a little frustrated here and there. That's just how it kind of goes. As for things we did on stream, we finished Detroit Become Human, the first game of June Plus month, and I was I was really surprised at this game. I know it's got some sort of weird controversial thing going on with it, but from a game perspective, I felt like this is one of those games that, like, yeah, if you like choice-based games, this is definitely going to be the one for you. Things actually change. You can actually go back through and get different endings and stuff like that. So I was very satisfied with the game as a whole, and I put it in S tier. And then after that, the wheel spun and chose Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which is a platformer, a 3D platformer, level based. I felt like Sackboy was way too heavy for the kind of game that they're trying to portray here. I felt like things were really inconsistent at times too. Level design wise, kind of was a little stagnant at times, but Crablantis, the whole Crablantis part was really good, really interesting. I really like that, but the rest of them kind of meh, honestly, in general. And there was like a reused boss fight 3 times in the game, which is really annoying to me personally. So I ended up putting it in C tier, C for cat. Not that great of a game. I mean, it's fine. It's like average, And for a kid's game, I'm sure it's fine for a kid. But for an adult, I want a little bit more out of my platformers, All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the show, which is what's in the news, and we're going to combine this with what's coming soon. All right, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep this under 2 hours, folks, but thank you for hanging with me. Jeff Cayley says that E3 essentially killed itself. The death of E3 was kind of rocky. They said they were coming back, then they canceled, then they rebranded, then they canceled, then they had the PAX people try and do it, and then they canceled. I'm sure it'll come back next year, maybe. We'll see. But Jeff Cayley has, and Summer Games Fest has been known as the E3 killer, essentially. And in general, I don't think that's really the truth. I mean, when Jeff Cayley started Summer Games Fest, it was like during that first year that like E3 was really rocky. They weren't sure if they were gonna do it, And so Jeff Cayley just kind of like, hey, an opportunity presented itself, and I pulled the trigger, and there we go. On Twitter, he said that he was at E3 in 1995. It was his first E3 ever, and it meant so much to him back in the day. 4 years ago, he realized that E3 wasn't evolving as it needed to in the global market in the digital world, so he started building Summer Games Fest on June 8th. Elaborating, Cayley explained that there could have been a reality in which both could have coexisted together. He states that everyone we've been working with for months around Summer Game Fest. So there was a world where Summer Games Fest and E3 could have coexisted, and we had talked to a lot of Reed Pop, the E3 event organizer, about about that possibility, because they were focused much more on the big trade event than a consumer event. Blah 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 blah. So essentially, Jeff Cayley claims, I didn't kill it; it killed itself, and I'm inclined to believe him. I mean, E3, the last time we had E3, it was just kind of like, it was fine, I don't think it knocked anyone's socks off. But Summer Games Fest has been good. They highlight both AAA, AA, and indie games. And E3 really only focused on the AAA, which might have been part of its downfall, relying too heavily on PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox to show up. which they did not in several. Xbox was like the last standing, and then they even pulled out of what would have been E3 this year. So you know. All right, so Meta has announced their new headset. I'm sorry, not Meta, Apple. We talked about Metas last week. Apple announced their new VR headset, which actually does AR and VR, so augmented reality and virtual reality. Ready Player One, eat your heart out. This is going to be going for $3,500. And no, I did not read that wrong. $3,500 for a headset that uses the same UI as the PS Vita. So they're not marketing as a dedicated VR or AR headset. Apparently, it can do both. It's a standalone spatial computer. They say it'll have over 100 Apple Arcade games at launch. But it really isn't a gaming device per se. You can use it for communication, for working on your computer, for blah 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 blah. So yeah, not the best price point in my opinion. I think the price point is way too high for the average consumer, especially. So this is definitely going to be a high end product for people who can't afford it. And maybe they'll make a cheaper version down the road. Street Fighter 6's early Summer Vibes Battle Pass has been delayed indefinitely at this point. They do not have a new release date for it. It was supposed to come out June 9th, but they've been having so many network issues that they have put their heads down to work on that and make sure they get more stability in their network and online features before they pop out a battle pass, essentially. So yeah, I mean, it's understandable. Get the game into a better working order. I've not really played online, so I can't say if I've had any problems. But obviously it's a big thing. They had to cancel a tournament this weekend because of network issues and stuff like that. So it is a little bit rocky of a start, but I'm sure they'll get it. They'll get it, and they'll put out this battle pass sooner rather than later because they want that money. The people behind Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is refunding physical orders of the game and also digital orders if you want them to. You can actually put in a request to refund digital orders, which is not a good sign for any game. They claim that it's because they are retooling things for their collectors and deluxe editions, but that would not make sense as to why they would be refunding all physical versions if it's just the collector's editions, etc., etc. The original game came out in 2004. It's considered one of the best role-playing games ever made, which is pretty high standards, and maybe they just haven't reached those standards yet. There's still no release date for the game, and them refunding things does not sound good. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens in the near future. EA Sports is being accused of exploiting college football stars over low pay for the new PS5 game that's in development right now. The last NCAA game came out in 2018 or something like that, and that was during a time when college players were not paid for their appearances in games, and they couldn't accept money for ads and stuff like that. So that's all been retooled. Essentially, the College Football Player Association reversed that, so now college players can be paid for doing appearances and stuff like that. As a result, the vice president of the association, named Justin Falicine, he believes that the publisher is exploiting players. Right now, there is a budget of $5 million for players, which equates to about $500 per player, and there's no promise of royalties that given to the players. So it's a bit of a sticky situation for EA Sports because obviously $5 million is already a lot of money to be spending on player likeness. And this is the first NCAA game in years, so you got to have all the players, But they said that the roads are open now, which means that the inclusion of player likeliness is still under construction. But it's likely that they are probably going to be paying out more money to players, especially ones who have, more notoriety, I guess you could say. On the opposite end of the spectrum, well, not really. On the opposite end of the football spectrum, Madden NFL is making a reappearance with Josh Allen on the cover, the first Bills player to grace the cover ever. This just sounds like a bunch of Madden bullshit. I don't even want to go through this shit. Like, why am I doing this to myself? There's new skill-based passing and hit detection, more animations for catching and tackling, whoop-de-doo, better AI decision-making, superstar mode is coming back, custom avatars, and also they say that they have improved the look of the characters, but it really just looks like last year. It really does. Like, this is the first, like, this is one of the first times I've actually really noticed, like, it just looks like last year's game. There's a bunch of stuff that's being taken out of the PS4 version of the game, but there's new stuff being included in the PS5 version, which really isn't new, I guess. There's a quote-unquote new mode called a 3v3 mode where you can go against friends. It's pretty much just the yard from last year, except they stripped out the name. Face of the franchise is coming back. There's also returning mini games. So something that was in older games like Madden 08 and 09 that were taken out are returning. So this is something that's quote unquote new. Ultimate Team, of course, is returning because, you know, that's a money sink for them. So yeah, I guess the only thing that's really positive here is Josh Allen's on the cover. But then again, the Madden curse has been unfavorable to almost everyone who's been on the cover. You know, from Tom Brady all the way to, you know, Antonio Brown. So, you know, I just hope that he doesn't get cursed by the Madden curse, you know, and it's inevitable, though. It's really inevitable at this point. But that being said, don't buy this game. They're going to have some sort of NFT inside there as well. Stay away. Stay far, far away. Friday the 13th, the video game, is actually going to be delisted in December. The license for, I guess, the characters are expiring, and they're not going to re-up them. On Twitter, they came out with a post and said, "The time has come. Our license for Friday the 13th will expire on December 31st, 2023. On that date, Friday the 13th, the game will no longer be available for sale on both physical and digital. The game will, however, continue to function until the 31st of December in 2024. So if you already own it, you can still play the multiplayer for some time. At this time, we've made the decision to reduce the game to $4.99 for the base game and 99 cents for each piece of DLC content. We will continue to offer the title and content at that price until it is removed from digital store and physical storefronts. We'd like to thank our community for the dedication they've shown to Friday the 13th, the game, and Gun Interactive as a whole, and we are happy that the game will live on a while longer and continue to be enjoyed by anyone owning the game already." Okay. This has been a very rocky game. Friday the 13th, the game has been just such a rocky road for it, you know. And I'm not talking about the ice cream. Back in November 2022, the game had faced licensing issues where the game was pulled from storefronts and turned offline, so players could only join groups of peer-to-peer matches for a little while. I think the game in general was like well received, but it was very buggy, and the game has just kind of had a rocky lifespan. So yeah, at this point, the studio can move on to something better, maybe, maybe start creating something new. But yeah, it's always unfortunate to see games get completely delisted, and this is one of those ones that uses a very famous IP, so it's inevitable that they eventually will run out of the funds to keep re-upping that license. All right, Spider-Man 2. The release date, of course, was revealed, but here's the Collector's Edition and Deluxe Edition. So in the Digital Deluxe Edition, or Deluxe Edition in general, you're going to be getting 2 early unlock suits. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is the pre-order bonus. I'm sorry. I apologize. The pre-order bonus for all the editions. 2 early unlock suits for both Miles and Peter with different color palettes. Also 3 free skill points and a web grabber gadget. Early access to that. If you buy the standard edition, of course, it's going to be about $70. I believe, well, most games usually come with a steelbook, but I don't know if this one is. but it's just the game. The Digital Deluxe Edition is going to come with 10 unique suits for Peter and Miles, 5 each. You can't get these anywhere else. This will be available on October 20th, as I've already stated. It'll include 2 skill points, an additional power something, and all the pre-order bonuses as well. So that's 5 additional skill points off the bat. And then if you get the collector's edition, you get a digital version of the game, unfortunately. You get a steelbook to display nothing. You get the 2 early unlock suits and the web gadgets and the skill points, along with all the digital deluxe content, and a 19-inch collector's statue with Venom fighting both Peter and Miles. Pretty good statue, pretty cool statue. Probably something that happens pretty early on in the game, as I said before, because usually what they would do is they would say, spoiler alert, and they would have like a cover over it, but this time they're actually showing it off, so that tells me that it's something very early on. The collector's edition of the game is going to be $230. The digital deluxe is $80. Pikmin 4 got a new trailer, kind of telling me that there might not be a direct anytime soon. But essentially, they kind of went through the story. So Olimar gets, journeys to a planet and gets trapped there. The people who went to rescue him get trapped there. So now it's up to you, a custom Pikmin, to go out and try and rescue all the crew, all the people, which is pretty cool. I like that idea. The game is going to be coming July 21st, if you want to check that out. It's been a little while since we've seen anything Pikmin related, but everything we've seen so far has looked pretty good. And I think that the story is going to suit the game pretty well, being in a bit of a different style and being yourself, So there you go. Blasphemous 2. Its trailer got leaked a little bit early, but it never did show up in the Summer Games Fest yet. So, that's kind of weird. But anyway, this new trailer for Blasphemous, the release date was announced. It looks great. I mean, I'm oozing over this trailer. It looks really good. They showed us some boss fights and some characters you're going to meet. Obviously, the gameplay style is relatively the same. This is coming August 24th to all platforms. I'm very excited to try this, to play this game. After playing the first game on stream, I didn't know that I was going to have as much fun as I did with it. And I'm very excited for Blasphemous 2. I never really played the DLC for Blasphemous. That's my own fault. But it looks like you're going to be getting some new weapons in there, some new abilities, and obviously you're going to be fighting a lot more enemies and crazy bosses. So I'm very excited for that. Dr. Fetus's Mean Meat Machine officially has a release date now on the 22nd of June. It's pretty much Mean Bean Machine, except in the style of Sackboy, where it's a color matching game, but there's like Sackboy traps and stuff everywhere, so you got to watch out for that. I don't know if I'm going to be getting this because I'm not a big fan of Mean Bean Machine, even though it's a big meme on the channel. Looks like it's going to be fine. And that's coming. Mean Meat Machine is coming the 22nd of June. There's a new Jumanji game coming out, and no, it's not the old style. It's the new one, and this one's called Wild Adventures. This is going, instead of it being a third-person shooter, this is a top-down beat-em-up and platformer. You can play as one of 3 characters, all with unique move sets. I suppose they're unique. I don't know. It doesn't look. It looks like garbage. Let's be honest. But maybe it'll be a fun kids game. It's coming November 3rd. If you want to check that out, who will check it out? Probably me. I'll probably do a streaming thing. Get this many points in the pot, and I'll play the new Jumanji game. Oh God, it's gonna happen, isn't it? It's gonna happen. There's new DLC for Shredder's Revenge coming out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. A new character called Unchi. Is that how you say it? Oh, hold on. Let me see the spelling. Where is it at? Usagi. I'm sorry, Usagi, who is like a rabbit. A Teenage Mutant Ninja rabbit. Essentially, you go into a different dimension, because it's called Dimension Shell Shock, and you try and defeat Shredder before he takes over the multiverse, essentially. The game is leaving Xbox Game Pass soon, so just in time for the DLC to come out, they are going to be taking it down from the storefront. In a blurb, they said, Chaos! The Neutronos crash the Turtles' latest pizza party. The teenagers from Dimension X are in dire need of help. Shredder is seeking to conquer the multiverse itself. Our heroes need to jump between dimensions and stop Shredder once and for all. So if you want to check that out, that is coming soon in 2023. They don't have an exact release date. And finally for today, folks, thank you once again for sticking around if you've lasted this long. Nintendo has expanded its Switch Online service with a couple new games for multiple different systems. On the Game Boy Color, which are available now. All these games are available now. We have Kirby Tilt and Tumble, which actually does use motion controls if you want to. Blaster Master, Enemy Below, which is some sort of battle vehicle game. Harvest Moon on the Super Nintendo. Very interesting there. It's a farm simulating game. And then Mystery Tower is going to be available, which was on the NES, which I believe was called something different on the Famicom version. What did it used to be called? Because it wasn't called Mystery Tower before. Hold on, let me check here. I wrote it down in one of my Discords. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it in time. There was so much that went on this weekend, and I don't want to waste any more of your time. So, it was. I'll probably find it after I'm done and be like, oh shit, I could have said it, but I honestly don't remember what it used to be called. Anyway, that's that. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. I know it was quite a long one, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The next one's probably going to be just as long. So, if you want to check out the next episode with the second half of the Summer Games Fest announcements, tune in next week. This week was a big one, folks. So, I really do appreciate anyone who stuck around for the entire long haul here. Hopefully there's some games that maybe caught your eye or bended your ear. Speaking of bending your ear, listen to this song and see if you can tell me what it is. Just to clarify things, because it was a little bit confusing, I need the name of the song, not just like the level it's on or a generic kind of thing. The closer you are to the name of the song, the more likely I'm going to give the point to somebody. So if you know the name or a general name of this song, let me know in my Discord, and you'll earn a free super reaction from yours truly. Let's hear the song right now. All right. Like I said, sneak on over into the Discord in the Fair64 channel, and let me know what that song is. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, though. I stream on Twitch Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Right now, we're doing June Plus, and it has been extended. We're going to be doing June and July Plus, so stay tuned for that. The random wheel is picking all of our games, and it's been pretty fun so far. So right now, we're going to be playing Fez on stream. Probably going to take a couple of streams. I don't know how long the game is in general, but I'm predicting probably 2 streams for that. If you want to check that out, like I said, I stream on Twitch. Anywhere else, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret. If you want to check out the other podcast I do, it's called Film Freaks with a Z, where we talk about movies. The most recent episode is about Inglourious Bastards, and the next episode is going to be about Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? If you want to check that out. Anyway, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I am out of here. I'll talk at you next week. Happy gaming. Bye-bye. The Fair64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. The song Nightshade, used in the intro and outro, is owned by Adhesive Wombat. Small sound clips during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. News sources include NintendoLife.com, PushSquare.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions video game related are my own. Thank you for listening.